Hi, good evening, everybody, and welcome. It's here we are on Paul English Live. It's episode 154. It's August the 27th, if I'm not very much mistaken. I probably am very much mistaken. We've got a rollicking good show lined up for you tonight, and we always like to talk about good rollickings. Welcome to the show. The night's drawing in where you are. They've drawn in a bit here near me. You remember last week we had a thunderstorm this time last week, and it looks as though it might do one any moment now, but it's not as exciting as last week. Not the start anyway, but the show's going to be. Oh, I just poured water all over my t-shirt. That's a bit of a stupid start, isn't it? Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. It's Thursday, isn't it? Yeah, and lots of fun last few days. I had a technical trousers day from hell yesterday, which is probably a good sign, which means we're not going to have one today. I've invoked the technical trouser hell gods. Not really, but just went out for my evening walk prior to the show. It's a regular thing now. I put my waistcoat on and got my pocket watch out, went for a little paseo. I think that's the Spanish word for your evening walk. And beautiful evening. It's a bit sort of dark and sort of come in a bit earlier, but then it's very cloudy today. But I can't believe how fast we've got to the back end of August. We've really got to the back end fast. It's September next week, isn't it? Obviously, I think that's the month that comes after August. Anyway, we're here. We've got a guest. I'm going to bring him on in about 5 or 10 minutes' time. Mike Burke is our guest tonight, and quite looking forward to this. You'll find out what the theme is. You can probably tell really from the image for today's show. I was just talking to Paul, who's in America and is always nosing around in our affairs around here, which is the right thing to do. And the image is from the Smithsonian Institute. I don't know why they've got it. They must have nicked it or something. Actually, I don't know who painted it. It might have been an American painter. But it's of the Chancery Division. And those of you that are familiar with Bleak House by Charles Dickens, by the way, this is only a tangential sort of link because we're not here to really talk about the Chancery Division. Oh, I don't know. But those of you that have read Bleak House will know that Dickens goes on at great length about the court at Chancery. It's a bryliant opening sort of few pages to Bleak House. Well, it's all about fog. It's all about the Lord High Chancellor. And it's all about this case, Jarndyce and Jarndyce, that goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And barristers are born into it, live through it and retire from it with piles of money, that kind of thing. And the defendants, of course, come out destitute. So anyway, somebody who can also go on and on and on and on and on is Eric von Essex. Eric, hello, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening. Well, thank you very much, and it's nice to be here. We was talking beforehand about a great archaeological discovery round near where I live. So,
really,
would you like me to?
Yeah, okay.
Well,
obviously, you've come in all excited about it, and we've got to let you say.
Excited. Well, there's on your Telegram channel, plug on my Telegram channel.
Yeah.
Somebody's been talking about dinosaurs. Did they exist? And I know that John Hamer, in his book, he believes they didn't exist, and most of the dinosaurs we have are sort of from other animals and things. But one's just been dug up around the corner at Fockham Hall, and it apparently the archaeologists said that it ate only porcupines, and it was called a Megasaurus. So there we go. So they do exist. Sorry, and.
Welcome to the show, everybody. If you haven't met Eric, you've met him now. It's very good. It's good. We're starting as we mean to go on. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, it goes downhill from there on,
I mean, not that we want to talk about dinosaurs, because we've got a few
No.
behind the microphone tonight, so, me included. But
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, what do you think? Do you think they existed or not? I'm interested to know. What do you think?
I'm 50-50 on it and leaning more towards them not existing, because how comes that nothing was ever said about them before the 19th century? Very little was said about them. And why didn't other societies ever discover them or see them or anything like that?
Yes.
And I'm a little bit suspicious. But again, I'll keep an open mind. It's a bit like flat Earth. I keep an open mind. I don't know if it's flat, round, square, or oblong. I don't know. But the fact is that most of the stuff that's official that we're told turns out to be a pack of lies soon afterwards.
Really? You've
landing on the
noticed that,
moon
have
and-
you? Have you noticed that?
What? Well, of course they landed on the moon, and things like that. And no,
I
mean,
remember
lots of-
looking up, I think, at the moon that night or something. I couldn't see them. Could you see them? No, they weren't there.
No,
Didn't see a bloody
and
thing.
Why do they have a peep when they spoke? Oh, okay, beep.
Yeah.
Right, beep. Why? And also the other thing, which was absolutely amazing, they could make a phone call from the moon,
Yeah.
and there was no delay in the sound. It was immediate. That was really incredible, wasn't it? And especially when the operator came in and said, "Come on, you have to put 20 cents more in the box." So there we go.
That's the sort of internet connectivity that we want these days, isn't it? We want things as sparklingly
that's
good as
right.
that. We really do.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember swinging it round to the focal point for the next couple of hours? Do you remember a couple of weeks ago we had Michelle Young and Maribel on the show?
Yes, we did. That's right, and very, very interesting. And I hope they're okay.
Yeah, I think they are. In fact, I've
Yes.
alerted Maribel about tonight's show. She says she's probably going to be listening, so you better be. No. So I'm just practicing. I'm practicing my rude radio host manner. I've got to develop that. We're all too cheery and nice around here at
Or
times. No.
doing a James Wow, you will have your jabs, and that sort of stuff,
Yeah,
Shock
although
jock.
it's probably a sort of a whale too far for me, I have to say. I never found it much. I didn't have much of a whale of a time listening to him.
No.
But,
I found him very, very irritating. He went a bit bonkers in the end, though, didn't he? So,
I suppose, but he was very ill, and whatever. Anyway, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, after that show a couple of weeks ago, Maribel got in touch with me. We talked about several other things, and then she sent me Mike Burke's contact details, and so we've had a couple of chats, and I'm going to bring Mike on now. And Mike, hello, good evening, and welcome to the show.
Good evening. I hope you can hear me okay.
We can hear you loud and clear. How are you doing this fine, lovely evening? Well, it's not bad here anyway. How are you doing?
Yeah, same as you. Overcast.
Yep,
Looks very thundery.
it does.
I've got to say, I do concur with what Eric said about the dinosaurs. That's what I've come to, the conclusion I've now come to.
You think they did?
And-
You don't think they existed either?
No.
No.
There's a lot of evidence for that. Particularly, one of the things that I saw, there was a woman done an excellent channel. I can't think of it now. She talked about the stalagmites and stalactites. I remember going to Cheddar Gorge many years ago, a long time ago actually, and they said that stalagmites come down, stalactites go down, stalagmites go up.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
That sounds like my girlfriend's stalactites go down. My ex-girlfriend, rather. Her stalactites needs to come down. Terrible. She bought a smaller size.
That's the one. Well, we was led to believe that they grew about 1 inch every, I think it was 4,000 years. But subsequently on this girl's channel, she showed stalactites forming on a garage, I think it was in America or somewhere, 6 foot high. How is that possible? And there was also a boot they found, a leather boot, which they could trace the manufacturers of, but the foot inside had petrified. But it couldn't have been that old because the boot could be traced to the early 20th century. How is that possible?
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder what stuff we've been fed. On a lighter note, to start it off, I'm reminded of a comment that I saw in Hansard about, I think he was the Emperor of Russia, visiting the House of Parliament. It was in the 1680s, I believe.
Right.
And when he got there, he saw all these people scuttling up and down the stairs outside. And he said to some guy there, who are all those people there? And the answer was, they're all lawyers, sir. And he said, we've got but two in Russia. And when I get back, I'm minded to shoot one of them.
I like him already. Mike, before we sort of jump in, I've forgotten my manners with all the listeners. So just to do the old sort of station acknowledgement thing, I forgot to do that because I always get carried away at the beginning and knock water all over my shirt, which is not so bad because it's very warm in here where I am tonight. But shout out to everybody on Rumble and YouTube that's tuning in, and also over in the FFT radio chat. The more you use that chat, the better it gets. It's getting livelier, slowly but surely. So I'm looking at all three, and if I can get my brains to work, I might even read certain things out from time to time. So that's great. We're going out, of course, on FFT Radio at fftradio.com. We're also going out over WBN 324. And a quick shout out to WBN 324. For those of you that don't know, what happens with FFT is that around about 11 o'clock at night, in fact, immediately after this show, we pick up WBN for the overnight session, as I now call it, from 11 o'clock at night here through till 7 a.m. in the morning. With basically American talk radio shows, primarily overnight. So for those of you that can't sleep at all, you can always tune into that kind of stuff. And then 7 o'clock in the mornings, currently what I've been doing cheekily, I think I might have mentioned this last week, we pick up the Mike Graham show off his YouTube channel and send that out, which is always lots of fun. I think I've covered everybody. Oh, there's Eurofolk Radio, there's Global Voice Network, and maybe Holy Land Radio, I think, as well. So we're going out over quite a few places. So however you're listening, hi and welcome to the show. Now, Mike, I thought what might be useful for everybody, because prior to Maribel sending me your details, of course, I'd never heard of you. And we've had 2 or 3 conversations now, which I've really enjoyed, and you've sent me lots of wonderful documents. But it's always nice for us to get some sort of lie of the land with you. What's your sort of history, as it were, in this space, your focal point? How did you get to this point, ruining your Thursday night here on this show? How did you get to this point?
All went back to the Dunblane incident.
Right.
Back in the 1966.
Yes.
Prior to that, I had everything: rifles, shotguns, pistols, revolvers. It was all military stuff. It was we were doing what we call combat shooting, but essentially what it is, it's target practice.
Right.
Now there's a huge difference, which I can get into at some other stage, between target practice and target shooting. But essentially, being an affiliated member of the NRA, and I think the charge of the NRA was to train Her Majesty's subjects in marksmanship for the defence of the realm.
Yeah.
But then I was aware of the Hungerford incident back in '88.
Is that when that was? Is it that far away? Obviously, yeah, it was before Dunblane, wasn't it?
That's right. We had the Hungerford one.
Yeah.
Now, I formed my own pistol shooting club.
Right.
I didn't like the way they were being controlled by the police, particularly the secretaries and that sort of thing. So I formed my own club. And I actually, at some later stage, I met up with a guy called John Hurst, who was serving Met policeman at the time.
Right.
And I was aware of all the other stuff going on in America, whether it was the Oklahoma one and the Koresh one, and the background and what was going on out there. Then we had the Dunblane one, and there was lots of questions came up after that,
yes,
which were never answered. But strangely enough, about 2 or 3 weeks after that, they had the Port Arthur massacre in Tasmania. Now, that was an extremely interesting one because apparently the story is that there's very few police on the island, in fact only a couple from what the article said, and they had a phone call to say that there was some substance in a cave on the other side of the island.
Right.
So the police was dispatched to investigate, and I think they just found out it was flour or whatever, sugar. They radioed back to say that they'd been there and there was nothing there. Don't forget, I'm just going from what I can remember now because this was a long time ago. And I've still got the articles on it. And immediately after they radioed back to say that they were there and it was a false alarm, the shooting took place in the shopping mall. Now, it was alleged that a guy who was apparently, let's just say he was a bit slow, left-handed, really didn't know much about guns at all. In fact, there was an incident where he took a gun with a live round into it. He wasn't quite sure how to eject it or something stupid like that.
Yep.
But apparently, this is the same guy who apparently entered a shopping mall with a semi-automatic rifle, and I believe it was 2 magazines he had containing 15 rounds each. And he started to open fire, and he changed magazines on, before the one was emptied. So there was still one in the chamber, and continued. And apparently he shot and killed 32 people with 29 shots. That's an inverse kill ratio. How is that possible? That's one of the things.
Right.
This same guy that apparently engaged in a car which was moving at speed some distance away and hit the engine to put it out of action.
Yep.
And then he fled to somewhere called Seascape. I think it was something like his house or something, where he was surrounded by the police, but he never shot anything after that. Nothing. And then the house mysteriously caught fire. He eventually came crawling out of it. I don't know all the background behind it, but he was subsequently arrested. And you know what? As far as I can see, up until very, very recently, he's still in prison, and he never went on trial.
And where is this? Is in the States, is it?
No, this was in Tasmania.
Right. Is that incident where he just went crazy? Is that supposedly young guy at the time who went nuts and killed a lot of people, supposedly in a restaurant? Is it? I think.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I've got it now. I've got his face. I can't remember his name, but I've got his face flashed up. He was a light-haired young man. There's all sorts of. I read all sorts of stuff around that because Mossad were in Tasmania at the same time. There's all sorts of setup, and all these sort of gun incidents happened around about the same time for them to invoke the restriction of carrying of firearms. Is that right?
Yes, essentially that is exactly what it was.
Yes, I remember that.
But another food for thought is that I subsequently, and I've probably got a record of it somewhere on my PC. That the Tasmanian government or officials there had ordered a refrigerated undertaker's vehicle or something like a refrigerated vehicle, which coincidentally could hold 32 bodies or something. Right. And then after the incident had happened, this is prior to the incident, and after the incident, it was sold because I saw a picture of it. Now it makes you scratch your head.
Yes.
So, but going back to the Dunblane one, we knew that there was a lot of things wrong. And I contacted the various shooting organisations, and they just said, no, don't do anything, just maintain a respectful silence. But I didn't like that.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a disgruntled gun dealer, local one, and he said, well, I've got a copper he might be interested in.
Yeah,
he's been doing some research. I met this guy, John Hurst. He had a friend of his, Mike J. He was a senior pilot with British Airways at the time. And he said, we've got a Bill of Rights. And that really started the whole constitutional journey, because the consensus was, well, if I can't have him for target shooting, target practice, should I say, not shooting, then I'll have them defensive purposes. And in order to become proficient, you have to practice.
Yes.
So that started our research journey. We did a lot of articles. We produced various documents, one called Brief Safe, a briefing document.
Yeah.
It was called SAFE, that's right. safety and freedom for everyone, because we went through the law, we was going through Hansard debates, everything we could find, because don't forget, it wasn't all computerized totally like you can now. We have to send off someone down we have to join law libraries, send someone down, they'd look for debates, photocopy them, post them down to me, I'd scan them up, word process them onto the computer. It's nothing like it was now. But we put together quite an interesting document. It was about 60 or 70 pages.
Mm-hmm.
But the ironic part was it had a PO box, and the PO box was my friend the pilot's place.
Right.
So the police picked up on it, and they then paid him a visit and revoked his firearm certificate. Not because he had done anything wrong, but because he might use his lawfully owned firearms to protect himself.
You've basically got something in common with Rupert Lowe, because I heard him talking a couple of months ago about this whole period around Dunblane, and his father was involved in target shooting, wasn't he? He had a lot of guns, and they took all his guns off him. I think it was around about that period. So did you know John Bingley before this, or was it this event and the whole... Because I spoke to John Bingley, probably, he wouldn't remember. I had a few calls with him maybe 10 or 12 years back. And I understand he makes ammunition. I think that's one of the things that he makes. He might make several other things. But I saw him give a speech in some organisation, the British Constitution Party, or not a political party, but something, a group. And it was excellent, all about the English Constitution, as I'm trying to avoid using the word British, Mike.
It's difficult, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is. It's like we've been brainwashed into it. Every time I see it, I'm going, well, we're British, and it sounds so good to say, but I'm going, well, I'm not actually. It's a bit confusing. So we're not British. We're Britons. I think we're Britons, but we're not British. Anyway, is that how you bumped into John Bingley around this sort of period, or did you know him before that?
Yes. Subsequent to that, I'd formed other things apart from this safe one. I met up with a gun dealer up north, and he'd been getting together some information, and they'd petitioned Parliament about the RKBA business. And I met up with them subsequent to that, and we reunited. And theirs one was called BORAS, Bill of Rights Appreciation Society. Right. And they petitioned Parliament, and in view of the huge amount of letters that Parliament received, the House of Commons produced a research document. I think it's called 96102. I've got a copy I can always forward on.
Okay.
But ultimately, they went through the history of firearms legislation. But ultimately, they said it's for the courts to decide if it's brought before them. So, and I said to him that I'm like a dog with a bone. They took away me guns. They don't trust me with guns. I don't trust them. So ultimately, I put all the evidence together, which we'd done with John Hurst and others. And we went to the High Court. We'd done an application. There was a lot happening before that. And you just don't realise how corrupt and rotten the system is until you start.
Till it hits you. Yeah, till it comes and starts nibbling around your ankles and biting your ankles. Yeah, it's an unpleasant thing, isn't it? So I guess prior to this, Mike, you were a sound, solid, upstanding citizen, or whatever we're called.
That's right. Yeah, no problem at all. We had a fantastic time. The guys we used to shoot with, we had black powder. We used to do shows at Chessington. The kids used to come in with all their cowboy stuff. They called themselves the Arizona Outlaws.
Oh, nice.
Dressed in the old long coats. I've got in fact, I looked at it fairly recently, an old video where we was doing reenactments for a huge crowd locally on the village green.
Great.
With the black powder shooting. Yeah. You try doing that.
I've done nothing. I need to hang around firearms. We've got a shooting club up around the back here that, you can go up and do clays. In fact, my son was up there about 4 or 5 weeks back. He said, I need to take you up there. I said, yeah, because we've driven past it for years. And I think I went Actually, the last time I shot anything was probably about 30 years ago, and that was clay pigeon shooting for an afternoon, which I really enjoyed. But it's just good to hang around places like that and just get familiar with firearms, you know. Someone's asked, by the way, Mike, in the chat, or they've said, I thought we had the right to bear arms. And we do, don't we?
No, yeah. Don't start me on that one.
I have done, though. That's what this show's all about. We're gonna look at all these things that we've got the rights to do, but everybody's forgotten about, or we don't know how to apply it, whatever. But we do, don't we?
Right, but this is where it came. This is where it came back to basics after Dunblane.
Yeah.
I knew there's something funny, and I think one of the nurses involved in that. I think it was a Sandra Utley. I think she's still got a Facebook page actually. Dunblane, about Dunblane. There's lots of unanswered things, lots and lots of strange things going on there. But I won't really get into that. But again, Freemasonry was involved, and paedophilia, and
what?
God knows what else.
Freemasons, Mike? Really?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I've seen this is the Dunblane stuff. Yeah, it's a sordid affair. I mean, it really is. It's exhausting. Somebody actually asked in the chat earlier, is that the event that Andy Murray was involved with? Yeah, absolutely. And it's and this is this is just a piece of information.
Oh, yeah, he was one of the kids, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah, he was one that obviously did not lose his life. Obviously, many of the families were in shock and trauma. I think they got recompensed, and that kind of propelled him to be able to cover the extremely high costs. I mean, look, I could be making this up, but I did hear it from a coaching guy who was really pretty high up in English tennis. I nearly said British tennis. I don't know what to say, in Scottish tennis, and because he was a Scot and a good one, you know, and that gave them a lift up the ladder, because it's anybody that wants to take up tennis seriously, you're on a hiding to nothing, and really it's a very tough path. But yeah, so I'd read a lot of things came out. The internet, of course, was picking up just after that. This is 96, I think, wasn't it, Dunblane? But by about 8 or 10 years later, a lot of information started to pile in. I remember reading a lot of that back at the time and going, oh, this is icky. And this was before, I guess, the whole of the world is run by psychopathic paedophiles sort of type thing had risen in strength. But there was certainly something very odd about it. And the fact that isn't all the information from that blocked off for like 100 years or something? There's some kind of a court order.
Now, wouldn't that be a fun one to have a look at? I think it was 70 years it was buried. Yeah, now, wouldn't that be a fun one?
Are you planning on being around, Mike, to see it when they take out the envelope? Come on.
Yeah, when Rupert gets in, and that ain't going to be as long as what people think. But that's another story.
Yeah.
Around about 2001, there was a rally. I think it was a sports association up in London, and I think it was Frank Fields. I can't remember what he's a minister or whatever.
Right.
But he spoke to us at the rally, and he said that at that time, don't forget, this is 2001, there were approximately 30,000 Section 5 firearm holders in the country.
Right.
Who were they?
What's Section 5? What is that, a particular category of gun holder? What's Section 5?
Yeah, but again, every time you ask me a question, it opens a can of worms. The Section 5 is a prohibited section in the 68 Firearms Act.
Okay.
And these are the weapons that they think is so dangerous, you have to have the authority of the Secretary of State. Before that, it was the authority of the Admiralty and Air Marshals or something, going back to 1920. But then we've got another can of worms, because prior to 1920, there was nothing. All you had was a pistol license. If you wanted to take a gun out the curtilage of your own house, it was revenue raising. You had to get a license.
Yeah. After
we ended up joining I'll do it briefly, the League of Nations in 1919.
Yes.
Which was drawn up by us. Mm-hmm. Again, you'll see the same names will come up. The Salisburys, the Cecils, the Cranborns, the Rice family, the Rothschilds. They're all in on it.
Yeah.
One of the aims of the League of Nations was disarmament. And the Firearms Act was passed to honour our obligations at the Treaty of Peace in Paris, because that's where the League of Nations was created.
Yes.
That's the first attempt at one world government. And people might sneer at that and say, here we go, conspiracy. Well, conspiracy no more. Read the Hansard debates, it tells you. Mm-hmm. Because all my evidence comes from parliamentary debates in Hansard. There's no arguing.
Right.
So they had emergency powers in place, which I believe were meant to finish on the 1st of September 1920. And surprise, surprise, the Firearms Act was brought in just before the end of August 2020. And there was a prohibited section. And the idea of the prohibited section was to prohibit noxious substances and gases.
Yes.
It's got nothing to do with firearms. We could have had a Noxious Substance and Gases Act, but it was put into the firearms legislation. Oh, by the way, that's when dealers had to be registered as well for the first time.
What, gun dealers?
So, yes, that's right. They had to register them. And so where were we? The 1920 Act. So I've just lost my train of thought on that one now. So
Sorry, it's because I butted in.
No, to honour our, but sorry, we're talking about the prohibited section.
Right.
Now, subsequent to that, they said that the prohibited, it contained this section, I don't know whether it might have been 5 in the 20 Act, I can't remember, but it created a useful section. Now, come 1937, I think it was Lord Strabogli in the House of Lords, who didn't go under that name previously because he was picked up off the streets. He supported our right to arms for defence, and they didn't like what he said. I forget what his name was in the debates previously.
Strabogli, that's a memorable name. Strabogli.
Yeah,
okay. Never heard of that one, Mike. Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, what happened is that he was talking about this ban because what they decided to do was to put fully automatic weapons into this prohibited category.
Right.
So that was the first start, and then you go forward again to was it 88 and the what's his name again? The one at Hungerford.
Yeah.
With a semi-automatic rifle.
Michael Ryan was that? Is that the right name?
Michael Ryan.
Look, my
that's
brain's
one.
working. Yep, it popped up just then. It just took a little while to come through. Michael Ryan, I remember that.
Yeah, and now they put all self-loading rifles into that same category. They also capped the shotguns to 3-shot, and you had to crimp them. The amount of dealers that try to crimp these tubes, and it just fell off. I mean, you can't. It's almost impossible. But anyway, that was the legacy of that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the I think the next one was the Dunblane one, and it was all guns above .22 caliber, and then subsequently .22 caliber as well. So that was it. Now, strangely enough, they were put into a Section 5, and we were told that they were banned. But they're not banned. You simply need the authority of the Secretary of State.
Right.
It's that simple.
Okay.
But now, target practice was a military term which you used. And you'll find that in 1997, a friend of mine was renewing his certificate, and where he said reasons, and he says for defence of the realm and target practice. And it was returned to him as target shooting. Now that's a different ball game. That's going out and enjoying a pastime, much as golf, football, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not covered by the Bill of Rights.
Target shooting is not covered by the Bill of Rights. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Target practices, and they changed that in the 1997 Amendment Act. They didn't ban them. They simply moved into another category. And I believe it wasn't even Parliament that done it. I think it was an act of the executive by order in council, which raises another thing. But anyway, going back to this right to arms, when I went to the High Court, I got a judgment from Justice Popplewell, which claimed that the Bill of Rights had been impliedly repealed by further legislation. This is Article 7 of the Bill of Rights, etc. And any other, he refused my to go to the Court of Appeal, where he said any other action I do would be doomed to failure. So I appealed his decision, ended up in the High Court, and I had 3 jokers there. Was it Morrick, Gibson and Henry?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Lord Henry, during the course of the discussion, he said that he sat on a law commission repealing common law. how on earth can a law commission repeal common law? But this is some way through the trial, so I intimated what he's talking about is dabbling in something treasonable.
Yes.
Well, it don't go down too well, but ultimately, what they said is that as allowed by law, it's a changing thing, and Parliament, has decided to change the law now, and you now need a Section 5 authority. Mr. Burke can't get around that provision. Well, you can do because he's obliged to issue. So, and if you read very carefully the letters where I've written one of my documents to the Secretary of State on this subject, you'll note that he refused my application as a matter of policy, not law. And essentially, that policy will stay in place unless government policy changes. Policy can't change the law, so therefore that right still exists. But
he was just making a claim that he could, or he was trying to imply that he could, or he was trying to sort of basically brainwash everybody. I've said this sentence, and therefore that's that. But it's
been the policy of previous governments to not allow people the means to protect themselves.
Right.
But there's something come up, and I suddenly remembered. I wrote to him, and he wrote a letter back, so I put him in his place. And he said to me, and I only read it a few minutes ago, actually, before the show started.
Oh, great.
And he said, I can't believe that I'm merely here as a rubber stamp for anyone that wants a gun for protection or a Section 5 weapon. I can't believe it. That's his personal opinion. I can't believe it. Mm-hmm. Therefore, the Secretary of State, and here's the word, has a discretion. And I didn't pick it up. It's only the penny dropped today. We were in a discretionary jurisdiction.
That word, this came up the other day, I was doing something the other day, this word discretion, I had to look it up. Isn't discretion basically what I say goes?
Exactly. And when I was able to have a quick peep at one of Rupert's applications, or his refusal, the judgment from the High Court or Court of Appeal.
This is Rupert Lowe you're talking about now, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Bearing in mind, I've never voted for my life.
Me neither. So we're in a good club. I like this. This is good. Yeah. This sounds great. I've never done it.
This is the only guy I could ever look to throughout the history, throughout my time.
I'm the same. This is like an echo chamber around here. It's like, that's it. I've banged on about this. It's not that I view, we were discussing it, weren't we, the other day. I don't view politics as the thing that's going to answer the situation. But you've got to look at the horses in the paddock. And he's the only one recently that's talked like an adult, for a start.
That's right. But it's the politics that has to go and common law has to return.
Yes.
Because when we start talking about politics is what we are, we can talk in terms of us not being governed by a parliament. We're governed by the executive. Mm-hmm. The executive of the corporate side of the monarchy. But then that's another whole can of worms.
Well, we'll get into that.
If we're looking at the Bill of Rights, so going back to Rupert Lowe's judgment.
Yeah.
You scan through it, and then the judge says, again, are they judges? That's another can of worms. He said, I have a discretion. Well, again, I was looking at something I was researching the other day about this discretionary jurisdiction. And essentially, these ministers are all given a discretion. This includes all judges because they exercise the prerogative of the king. That's what the discretion is. They're in a discretionary jurisdiction. Now, because you're in a discretionary jurisdiction, you can't be part of a system which has stare decisis, i.e. things already decided, because you can't be what you have to do. You can't be fettered by previous judgments. And the reason you can't be fettered by previous judgments, and can you believe this, is because you have a discretion. And if you follow precedent, then you're not exercising your discretion.
Say that again.
No way, because I ain't going to. No way.
My brain just hit a gear, skid patch. Okay.
Yeah. Which goes back to exactly what I said to the Keith Bottomley at the time.
Right.
I said you're fettered with an obligation. But of course, you can't be fettered. Yes, he is. But because we're running as a corporation, and therefore the common law, the Bill of Rights and that sort of thing don't apply because they've created their own system, it's all policy law. That's why it's got to stop. When you think about every time you worry about who's going to get in the next election and etc., who's going to be new prime minister.
Yeah.
Well, up until 1714, there was no prime minister. There was no whips. They didn't exist. But again, this goes off from it. This just shows you how big this can of worms is and
Yes.
how long they've been subverting our rights and liberties. But essentially, our right to carry weapons for our defence cannot be taken away. If they allege that they had, then they'd have to disarm the police because they only because they can only carry a common law. Again, that opens up another can of worms about the role of the police and all this as well.
Right.
So essentially, yes, you can have weapons for your defence. All you need to do, because they put another hurdle instead of just a certificate, you now have to have a Section 5. It means get Section 5 from the Home Secretary, and the Chief Constable has to issue you with a certificate. The problem we have with firearm certificates, and they're certificate, not licences, and I get fed up with people calling them licences. We know it's a certificate because it's said on it. License and certificate are completely different things. But when you get a certificate, you're told you have to sign it.
With your wet ink signature, you have to put your name on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, by signing it, you agree to the conditions, and that one of them to be used on approved ranges only. But if you actually look at the terms in the certificate itself, it tells you when this gun's not being used for cleaning, testing, or cleanly tested, or something or other, or some other purpose connected with its use, you should keep it in a safe. If you're not cleaning, testing, and doing, I can't remember what the third one is, the only thing left you can do with the gun is to have it for personal protection. So you're quite entitled to have it out the safe. But we've been conditioned to believe that they can do. Well, in fact, there was another guy on the forum. He said he suddenly turned up in his house one morning. Can they do that to suddenly do a spot check? A friend of mine had that done many years ago. Him and his wife, both avid shooters. His guns were on. Her guns were on his certificate, but his guns weren't on hers. And they'd been shooting the day before, and it's been done. You sling a gun under the bed sometime, you can't be asked to clean it. And he got a visit from the old Bill.
Right.
And they said he would come to check your firearms. So they went back upstairs, and his wife's sitting in the bedroom. And you see the old Bill's mind working, go through all the paperwork. His guns weren't on her certificate. Therefore, it should have been locked up, but the gun was under the bed. We got you.
Right.
Unbelievable, aren't they? I had another guy who wrote to the police when we was doing all this back in the late 90s and said, he said, I already had a handgun, but he said, I want a gun as per the Bill of Rights. And they said, no, checked up the Home Office and you can't have a gun for defence, etc. Obviously, if you've got any more queries, please don't hesitate to contact us. And I've got the original documents. So he wrote back and said, could you, that's right, the police said it's been repealed by later legislation. So he wrote back and said, could you actually show me where it's been repealed? That was it. Got a visit. In view of the continued correspondence between the police and us, and you, we're revoking your certificate. Because he continued to ask questions. They invited him to ask the question for which his certificate was revoked.
Like you're being insolent by actually taking us up on the offer that we've invited you to make, to ask us questions. So because he did, you cheeky bugger, and they took it away. That kind of thing.
So we're talking about handguns and other various firearms. But of course, we've also got things like friction lock batons, for example. Well, what happened to those? They've been banned, prohibited. Well, are they really? So go back and look at history. And this is the point. In order to find the answers, you can't just sort of scrap around here and there looking at bits of paper and try and put something together. It's taken me over 30 years to put it all together.
Amazing.
So
Yeah.
I've got it all.
Yeah.
All of what's been going on with firearm legislation and the crooked deals they were doing. In fact, one of the judges was involved in the debates about shotguns, and they already conditioned on a certificate, but it doesn't. You can't see it. And the judge was told. He said no mention can be mentioned of this if a case comes to the High Court. Nothing. We can't mention that you was involved in the debates on it, etc., etc. It's scandalous.
There's a question in here, Mike, or a little sort of poser from Billy over in FFT chat. Hi, Billy. And several others. I'm scouring them and scanning them as you're talking. He says, so, lawfully, has anyone overturned the illegality of not carrying firearms, as it's lawfully permitted in this country, is it not? It's lawfully, as you're explaining here, right? It's lawfully permitted to do so. So, are there processes that people undergo now to secure for themselves a firearm?
No, because of the situation we're in with this corporate entity, the Crown Corporation running us, the executive, they control Parliament. We know that. Look at all the ministers in there. But again, to understand what that means, you have to have studied the law, because none of them should be there. There shouldn't be a prime minister. They shouldn't be the whips and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
They're in total control, but not only the executive in total control now, they've taken over the monarchy, they've taken over the prerogative of the king, and which they've created this discretionary jurisdiction. And there was another thing I've got so much buzzing around in my head, I'm trying to think of the other part. Where were we on it? That's right, about getting it overturned. So the short answer is no, because they have a blanket policy of refusing all such applications.
Right.
Because it's policy, not law. Because the Bill of Rights, etc., has been suspended. But again, that in itself,
you can't. Can you?
Bill of Rights,
how do you suspend the? Yeah.
Yeah, because the Bill of Rights, even Blackstone confirmed in his commentaries that the Bill of Rights, the Declaration and Bill of Rights. You don't forget, there's two. There's a Declaration of Rights, which was read to William and Mary prior to the offering of the throne, and that was incorporated into a Bill of Rights, which was eventually passed in December 1689. The Bill of Rights, because some parts of the Bill of Rights were apparently repealed in 2005 and 2013, I think. But when you look at the legislation that repealed it, again, here we go again. The Queen couldn't pass it.
Because she would have been breaking her oath or her role as monarch.
Yes.
She would have invalidated herself if she'd passed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, she couldn't pass it because it handed over the power to the executive to govern us. And that the executive didn't exist before 1714. So you see the problem. You've got to go right back and see just how crooked the whole system is, and put the whole lot together.
Yes.
So if we scoot forward again to buttons and that sort of thing, for example, because at the moment, I personally, if I had a daughter, I'd be reluctant to let her go anyway without it. These rapes at Rupert's, again, he's made aware of. It's horrendous, absolutely horrendous. And you can't tell me that there's women don't deserve to allowed to carry, irritant sprays or in fact handguns. I'm sure a lot of them are capable.
Yeah, what were those small little pistols that the ladies had in the cowboy days? You know, that little, was it a Derringer?
Yeah,
that little,
Derringer,
yeah.
You get some nice little ones if they don't want,
there you go, ladies. We need to get to DerringerIsUs.com. That's what you all need Derringers. I've always fancied a Beretta. I think that's the favourite. That's the tool of choice for James Bond, isn't it? Doesn't he have a Beretta? He does in some of the stories. Anyway, I don't know what he uses.
The semi-auto one. But so I think that there should be a mass application because ultimately, because what I in fact wrote to them back in from his son and my wife back in 2004, and I wrote to them for a Section 5. They declined it. I said, well, okay, if I get nicked carrying one, you as a responsible official will have to account for your neglect of duty, etc. But again, you see, you won't be able to prosecute them because they're all in it together. Because not only the executive taken over, but they also have a partnership with the judiciary, would you believe? So the executive, who should never have lawmaking powers, now have lawmaking powers, and they partnered up with the judiciary. So there's no judicial independence.
Yeah.
The judiciary are now exercising the prerogative of the monarch, because the monarch has a discretionary jurisdiction, but the discretion can only be used for our benefit. It can't be used,
for private gain or for advantage of a certain section.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Which is what they are doing when he says, so he says, this is a discretionary court. It's like, I'm going to make some decisions that favour what I like, and it's got nothing to do with you peasants out there, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I knew that I was in discretionary jurisdiction. I had a recent bankruptcy hearing about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I got fed up with playing the shenanigans. I got screwed over. That's another long story about the police and enforcement agents and the council and the crooked barrister in the county court and the fake evidence of the council official regarding liability order and the plea of the barrister to the judge. You're the judicial gatekeeper, otherwise people, the jury might make a perverse verdict. So the judge then took a matter of fact out of the hand of the jury and decided for herself that a document existed, although no one's ever seen it. And the council admitted that they have no record of it. And then the police said, if you carry on your case, we'll hit you for 70 grand costs. So eventually it was 15 grand. And then ultimately that ended up to bankruptcy proceedings. I got the fake document. Just shows you how crooked they all are. This so-called liability order issued by magistrates court, what a lot of rubbish that is. It doesn't exist. It's a council printout. Even the court wasn't the same. It was dated the day before the hearing.
Yeah.
It was an indecipherable signature where it says Justice of the Peace. There was no name. There's no address. There was no amounts. There was no case number. And when you look very carefully underneath the word Justice of the Peace, there were the two words or and a few lines of words and another or and another few lines of words. And when you look carefully and examine them, some of the words have been crossed out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to delete it, you just put a line through the whole lot because it doesn't exist, or you scrub it through or whatever. But strangely enough, I had that thing on mine, and there was another one which came with the same signature, written slightly differently, but it's obviously the same person who signed it, and different words had been deleted. Even the word magistrates had been taken off.
Right.
And when you read it, the liability orders, these council liability orders, don't emanate from the magistrates court. They're done by a designated officer at a designated court. It's a fraudulent instrument.
Yeah.
Stick it in front of the judge, and I said, look, there it is. I said, it's a fraudulent instrument. I said, I said that the council made it up themselves. And I said, not only that, this so-called liability order was dated the day before the hearing. It was actually, so the signature authorising it was someone signed something and uploaded it into their computer system the day before the hearing, about 11 o'clock at night or something. I can't remember what it was. So how is that possible? So it hasn't even been to court.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is the scam. And then instead of the judge throwing out the matter, he then he adjourned it and wanted me to go back to the county court to try and get the previous order overturned. Really haven't got a cat and mouse chance of doing that. I spoke to some friends of mine because I've been process serving for many, many years.
Yes.
And I know most of the lawyers in the area, and they said that's going to cost you mega bucks. Well, the judge in the county court was listening because it was a jury trial and the claim for damages I had against the police. So I should have come away with about 70 to 100,000. Instead, I came out owing them 15 grand. So having looked at it all, he then adjourned it, wanted me to go back. Well, that was absolutely pointless because they're all in it together.
Yes.
Then they had the bankruptcy petition, and then eventually I went to I went back on the next hearing. I'd not corresponded with them at all, and I thought I've had enough of this. The system is so rotten that I'll just pay up because it's pointless trying to fight it. It's a waste of time. So I said to again what I thought was a judge there. I said, right, okay. I said, I just want to pay it and clear it up because I'd already offered the police solicitors to pay it. And they said,
yes.
No, leave it to the judge, which is a strange thing.
Yes.
So I said to the judge, right, I'll pay it. Because my wife shouldn't have to keep going through all this shit every time. And then she hit me with she says, I've got a discretion. Here we go. She said, I can either adjourn it or I can go ahead with the bankruptcy. Well, we all know what she'd have done. Yeah.
Yeah.
And since then, a year down the line, so it's almost to the day now, and I've had no correspondence with them. All they've done was log something at the land registry and sent a couple of letters. So I don't open them, they're not to me. The bill has now crept up to £60,000 and growing.
Yeah. It's basically allegedly, it could be called a court mafia, couldn't it? Something like that.
Yeah. It's the star chambers. That's what they're run by the executive. Mm-hmm. Well, the act abolishing the court star chamber. When was that? 1641.
Yeah.
They repealed that with the Justice of the Peace Act 1968. Why did they repeal it? Because the act abolishing the court star chamber, where the executive controlled the courts, they reenacted it in the Justice of the Peace Act. Could you believe this stuff?
I guess to some degree, Mike, what it is, and in the second hour, this is what we can go into. We've obviously looked at this in terms of specifics regarding firearms and the right to bear arms, which still exists, and then the complications that you have to go through to actually, do that. But looking at the way that the whole system has broken down ever since, say, Magna Carta or whenever you want to pick, would be really useful to see this, because obviously as you've said, you've studied it, and people are not familiar really with Magna Carta, Bill of Rights, and these other things that we generally don't talk about over here. I know in the States they do, and yet these documents could, it seems to me, provide a great safeguard to us in some way if we find the right way of applying them and using them. So let's cover that in hour two. We're just getting to the end of hour one, and at this stage we always play a little song. I've played this one a few times, actually quite a long time ago, really. We were talking a little bit earlier about Churchill because I've got him in the potty column of history. I'm not a fan. And this is one of those politically incorrect songs that Charlie and his orchestra, the National Socialist Swing Band, did back in the day. You've all heard it before. It's called The Man with the Big Cigar. I haven't got any cigars today, but who knows? We might get some for Christmas. Anyway, we're going to take a little short musical interlude with this, and we will be back on the other side after this song from Charlie and his orchestra.
Is the USSR. He's known around from near and far. That actor man with the big cigar. He puffs away every night and day with a twinkle in his eye. And all the while behind that smile lurks many an untold lie. Down Whitehall Way you'll see his car. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere, the friend of the USSR. V stands for It's the slogan of his land, and he'll fight until it's finished, and there's no one left to stand. He'll keep the red flag flying, though hammered black and blue, for he's getting more than he bargained for, that fat friend of the Jew. So keep your chins up, one and all, and remember what I say. If Britons were to Britain true, they'd send that man away. Who is that man with the big cigar? He's here, he's there, he's everywhere, that man with the big cigar.
Charlie and his orchestra, The Man with the Big Cigar. Did you quite like that, Mike? It's quite a jolly little tune, isn't it?
Interesting, but the sound itself was absolute crap.
Was it?
If I may say so.
Did it not
was.
sound? Did it
It's
sound?
going in and out.
Really?
Yeah, that's the trouble. Yeah. It sounded like it's underwater. It's underwater sound.
Please don't play it again. Please.
I won't play it again. That's a bit strange. That's a technical thing.
Hi,
What's
Paul.
happened there? Hi, Paul. Yeah.
No. Hi. I've been sending messages in the chat that your background noise reduction in StreamYard is turned on. It's making your music sound horrible.
Oh, why would it do that?
It turns itself on periodically. You got to check those chat messages once in a while.
I'm about to swear prolifically, but I better not because this is a family show. So hang on just a minute. I can't believe that. That's wrong. How did it? Oh, it has. It's switched.
No, it's
has it?
horribly.
Oh, yeah.
It's horribly wrong. It is. It's something StreamYard does.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me clearly now? Good grief.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we could hear you clearly all the time. It's just the music that it considers as background noise because it's constant. So
My apologies, everybody.
Well,
The technology. Thanks, Paul, for pointing it out. Sorry about that. So you couldn't even enjoy the song. I was just dancing around quite happily here with my glass of water. Sorry to put you through that, everybody. It must have sounded crap on the other side. I have no idea why. So there we go. So thanks, Paul, for pointing that out. Anyway, technical. There's always something, isn't there, over the whole thing? I don't know. It's just like a never-ending battle against switches and crap. I have no idea. I hate this stuff at times. Really, always deciding it's going to do what it wants to do. It's funny because I was using it earlier today and everything was fine. Anyway, never mind. So here we're back in hour two. We've got Eric's in the studio. Feel free, Eric, by the way, to chip in at any point. But we're here with Mike Burke. And Mike, just as I was saying there before, that dreadful song, sorry for actually putting everybody through it. I didn't realise it was so crap. We were just talking about the whole history, the whole of sort of the long line that's got us to this point. Is there sort of any particular place you think might be relevant to start off with all this kind of stuff?
Yeah, if we continue with, you see, people don't really, most people still haven't heard about the Bill of Rights, and even less they know about the Declaration of Rights, which preceded it. So they're two separate documents. But as I said, the terms of the Declaration was incorporated into a Bill of Rights, obviously with further words, etc. Now, it was established or re-established. Christianity was going to be the mode of government, and that was permanent hereafter, forever. Christian government, Christian legislator, Christian monarch.
Yeah.
a lot of it I can't go into the Jesuits and airing for it, because like with the gunpowder plot, for example, Guy Fawkes, and we all think he's a hero, but in fact you'll find out that it was actually what the gunpowder plot was actually what they called the Great Jesuit Treason, and the papal something or other, and it was a pope that they used to go around burning the effigy on.
Is that what they first did? What year is the gunpowder plot?
1605.
Yeah, I had that in my head. I was about to say it. Seriously, I was. 1605. Okay. Of course,
Yeah.
Fawkes wasn't. Fawkes jumped off the scaffold and broke his neck, didn't he? And denied them their gory execution. But they still went ahead with it anyway, even though he was dead by then because he'd broken his neck.
I don't know what happened there, but I can just remember because someone wrote an article covering all this, which is very good.
Yeah.
And a lot of it confirmed what I'd already found out. And it's the Jesuits' involvement. I mean, the Jesuits had taken over the Vatican almost from early times. They're always in control of it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot happening prior to, after the death of William and Mary and Queen Anne coming onto the throne.
That's the late 1600s, yeah? Early 1700s?
Yeah. 1700s, yeah.
Yeah.
We had the Act of Settlement, which was a good piece of legislation, and then we had the union with Scotland. Now, again, that threw up a can of worms because we were to be governed as the Kingdom of England, and now we became Great Britain. But this was after she had sworn her oath, because she come to the throne after the death of, I think it was Mary, wasn't it, in 1690 or something? I can't remember exactly now. But it started off the joining of the Scotland in England. It started off, whereas it is expedient, which she's done something which is morally wrong. So she's obviously come under the influence of, a bad. She's been given bad advice, evil counselling. Subsequent to her reign, when she died in 2014, there used to be what they called an office of Lord High Treasurer, and he was in charge of the money, if you like.
Right.
And he had a staff of office and a letters patent for the Treasury. And I thought it had been put into commission, and out of it emerged the very first Prime Minister, who was the first Lord of the Treasury. I can't remember the second ones, and the whips, who were junior lords of the Treasury. Now, I didn't really fully understand it, but I had another friend also doing the same research. And what it turned out to be is that George I was a German king. He got no interest in running England. All this is relevant to what's happened now.
Right. Because
this is what started the shitstorm in the first place.
Yep.
This very moment in time. So, and the Lord High Treasurer, because there was no executive, the king was the chief executive, and the Lord High Treasurer reported to the king along with the Lord High Chancellor and someone else. There was no the ministers didn't exist. So apparently it wasn't put into commission. It's been vacant since 1714 because the office of Lord High Treasurer has to be concurrent with the staff of office and a letters patent.
Yes.
But because because this is where the first Prime Minister appeared, because we now had an executive take a foothold into Parliament because they now controlled the money.
What year is this, Mike, again, roughly?
1714.
Okay, so that's 20 years after the formation of the Bank of England in 1694, right? So 20 years afterwards.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That follows. Yeah, got that.
Yeah. And again, if you look at the terms on that, again, there's a lot of funny things going on there. And by the way, in about that same era, an act was passed by William and Mary to say that a parliament should be held at least once every 3 years.
Because they weren't holding them that regularly back then, right?
Because you don't need them. Because again, it goes on to another can of worms. What's Parliament for? Parliament is there to redress your grievances. That's all they're there for. So if you've got a problem, you have a grievance, we've got canal boats and you're trying to compete with the stagecoaches, in the 1800s or whatever.
Yeah.
You would petition Parliament to redress a grievance. The canals are all blocked up, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
So that petition would then be lying on the table to see if anyone else had the same problem. And the king did not receive any grant until all our grievances were redressed. That's how the system worked. That's what legislation should have been.
So until the grievance is redressed, he didn't get the grant.
He didn't get supplies.
Yes.
But of course, all that changed because we had Rothschild get in, but that's another can of worms as well. So that was 1714. So they now controlled the finances. So of course, then if people joined them, they would get pensions and that sort of thing. And once you get a minister, what do? They create ministries. So from that one point in time, the executive have now taken complete control of everything. They control, like I said to you before, they control part of the House of Lords. They control the House of Parliament, the House of Commons. They control the police, the judiciary. They've taken over the Crown of England, replace it with the fictional Crown Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing you can do about it because they have all the power. What can you do? And in fact, in 1927, the Marquis of Bath remarks in a comment in Parliament regarding the corporate existence of that house. And he said, how long do we plan to put up with the corporate existence of the House of Commons? And that goes back to the Parliament Act 1911, which is another can of worms. And he said the executive had complete control now, the police, the military executive. There's no way we can fight back. This was 1927, almost 100 years ago. That's how long it's been going on. It's drip feed.
Yes.
We now accept that all these rules and regulations, we're governed by them. Who makes them? Not your duly elected members of Parliament. Who brings in the bills? The executive. And once a bill is passed, what does it do? It gives power to the executive to make orders in council, regulations. Blackstone actually called it newfangled treason.
I like that.
Exactly
I like that. That is great because it's now old-fangled treason, isn't it? Because they've been doing it for several hundred years. But at the time when he said it, and another anecdote in conjunction with that, it appeared not more than once in Hansard. If I can remember the words, Satan is now wiser than of yore. He tempts by making rich, not poor. Yeah, it's always
now, why would they say that?
Don't you think it's always this leaking in of currency, purchasing power from the usual suspects that begins the slow but inevitable corruption of all these institutions? They lose their way, do they not? The individuals themselves are tempted by something or other, and they just start to turn blind eyes. And after doing that for 50 years, everything's like a toilet bowl. That's really what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't stop. But I mean, that's where the executive first got the foothold. That was in 1714. Now, since that date, and including George I, the oath the monarchs swear at their coronation is set out in the Coronation Oath Act 1688.
Yeah.
That oath has never been changed. If you look on legislation.gov, the Coronation Oath, you'll find that it's exactly the same form as it was in 1688.
This is the same year as the Bill of Rights. The whole thing is interlinked. Is that right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Because the ancient oath that King swore, and my friend traced it back to the 1300s, was the same oath, but it had the word discretion.
That word again keeps cropping up, doesn't it?
Justice and discretion.
Yeah.
They said that the previous oath was framed in doubtful words, and therefore to make sure one uniform oath be taken in all times to come. And they laid it out, the purpose of the oath. The whole point of the revolution was to free us from popery and arbitrary power, which is exactly what we've got now.
Yeah, popery. I love that word. I've come across it a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
It was very common at the time, wasn't it? Yeah, to shake off popery. Yeah.
Yeah. Now for popery, you'd insert Islam. Anyway, that's another story.
Yeah.
But so essentially that was it. Now, no monarch has sworn the correct oath since the time of George I.
What year was that then?
One
You
of-
said it to me.
That's 1714. 1714.
So
But the
200 years before the outbreak of World War I, 1714, every so-called supposed monarch has not sworn the correct coronation oath, and therefore, were they ever the monarch? Even though I know they're referred.
Every monarch since, has, and all of them,
Yeah.
have held their positions de facto, not de jure,
Right.
because simply because they happen to be there. Now, I actually got an opinion. It was on one of these documents you get from Kew Gardens about the coronation oath, because I've done articles covering all of this, and the police and their oath and what a police officer is as opposed to a constable and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I went back to I'm just trying to think what date it was. 17. Yeah, that's right. 1931, I think it was, to do with the Statute of Westminster.
Okay.
And they altered the oath and they took out certain words. They keep on jiggling it around. But although the original oath is still shown in legislation.gov, no monarch has actually sworn it. Why is that? Because the executive, and the executive appeared in 1714, has taken control. They altered the terms and condition under which the monarch governed. In actual fact, they third-party interlopers interfering with the contract between the king and his people, but the oath, the Bill of Rights and Declaration of Rights were to be the way that we're going to be governed in the future, and the coronation oath secured it altogether. And the king was now, or queen was now, bound by the statute law. But they took out the word discretion, that's right, and then they also included the word statutes in Parliament agreed on. This prevented the monarch from exercising the divine right of kings and running without the Parliament sector, as James II had done before his demise.
Yes.
Because William and Mary were invited over here to free us, as I said before, from popery and arbitrary power.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the Bill of Rights, when you look at the full title, it says it's an act declaring the rights and liberties of the subject and settling the succession of the crown. It simply declares pre-existing rights we've had since time immemorial, the right to protect yourself.
So it was a revoicing, a representation, a re-uttering of this ancient thing that's always existed.
That's all. They've simply declared the rights which we've had in the past and will continue in the future. And where they've been infringed, they had a remedy, like suspending the Bill of Rights and that sort of thing, and dispensing with this. And the killer one was setting up commissions under the Great Seal. Now, what they would do is set up a commission on the Great Seal, and the classic one of that was bankruptcy laws. There are no judges ever sitting in bankruptcy hearings. They're simply administrators. And if you go back to the earliest bankruptcy laws, you will find out the Lord Chancellor, I think it was, issued a commission under the Great Seal because people would petition him and complain because they were owed money. And they'd set up this tribunal. They weren't judges, they never were. And that they would decide the issues. And it only related to merchants. It never, ever applied to individuals. But of course, as history has a habit of showing, they managed to drop the word not workers, business or something, I can't remember the exact word they had. And eventually got it to apply to everyone. And that is the case today.
Did they get it to apply to everyone because they have morphed us into commerce?
Yes. Yeah,
right.
with a fictional character.
That's right, yeah.
So now they could get us. I mean, I've known Graham Moore for a long time. He does some very good work.
He does. He was on here a couple of months ago, Mike. He was on here a couple of months. We were on for an hour. I haven't spoken to him much since then, but he does some great work. Yeah, he does.
Right. But I suppose it... Go on.
Well, I have a quick question. Like everything that you're talking about is like basically the background for why Charles is not considered a sovereign king. He's considered a manor lord. A manor lord is in the public and under commerce, not in the private and under sovereign authority granted by God. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Feudal system.
There you go. Feudalism. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And that brings me on to the thing, because I can go back and give you a whole history and I can back everything up. I've got opinions from there's an opinion from I can't remember who it's from now, but essentially what they're saying is that the executive can alter the oath whenever they like. They've done it in the past and they can do it. That actually came up in a debate in 1953 because someone questioned and said that the only people that can alter the oath is another act of parliament. And this is Winston Churchill, our friend Paul. And he actually said to question the validity of the oath, where they haven't been altered by parliament, will be to question the validity of all oaths going back to the time of George I. There we go.
Right.
That's from Hansard. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I have Charles down, and we were talking to Robin Hood a couple of weeks back, and I've got some in fact, I'm going to stick a link into some of the chats here, but he's, as I understand it, a liege lord. That's his actual official,
right, yeah.
Which is pretty close to what Paul was just saying a few moments ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, different. All right.
Same thing.
Same, different, but same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now let's get on to the crux of the matter, where we stand today. So I've got an immense amount of information. John Bingley's done some terrific work on this because, as you said earlier, he used to manufacture bullets, Bingley bullets.
He did. Were those the names for them? He put his Bingley bullets. Sound great. I wouldn't mind some of them.
Yes.
What a great name.
Yeah, he used to do, I think, mainly sort of woodcutter and that sort of. But I think he'd done a whole variety of stuff. I didn't really know him that well. I met him subsequently at Sports Association meetings, and because I kept on building up the Bill of Rights, in RKBA. But all his institutions get infiltrated, as they do. But John was surprised that John Hurst and I, every time we would go for a meeting, we'd bring up the Bill of Rights and right to arms. And John thought, well, I'll get in on this. I'll start doing some research. And I said to him, a senior wing commander who used to shoot with us, lovely old chap, used to fly B-2 bombers.
Right.
And he just said, unfortunately, we seem to have dropped him on the wrong country. But
I think you'd get a lot of nods of agreement. Yeah.
But he was telling me about filling me in on various things. Unfortunately, I lost contact with him after the Dunblane thing. You sort of tend to lose a lot of people after that. But he was telling me about the. Because I did actually store my documentation with him, because I had a load of original documents. You file them around everywhere, but they probably ended up in the tip. But I mean, if I'd have needed them as backup, because we didn't have the computer system like we are now,
yes,
it'd been a different subject. But anyway, so this sorry, I keep losing my train of thought because I've got so much.
There's tons. I'm losing your train of thought. Not really, not really, Mike.
Okay.
No, I'm sort of stitching it all together. I understand because there's a lot to it. A lot of unfolding chapters. Then this happened, then that, and then this goes back to this, and you're sort of cataloguing the decay, the mechanisms about how they've brought about the decay. I think to some degree.
Yes, and every time something happens, So if we can, because we would. Because you asked me about what events in time. So that was the catalyst which started it all off.
Right.
So we now have the executive has taken it upon themselves to alter the oaths as they like, without any reference to the people. Because don't forget, the oath is to the people, not anyone else. And if it needs to be changed, we have to be asked. Charles never asked us. In fact, no monarch's ever asked us to change it. And that's the only way it can be done.
We're not asked anything, Mike.
No, that's right. So now here's the key to it all. So on a lighter note, this is the situation where we are today. Is that there was always a worry about the king professing a popish religion. I've got my doubts about his wife, because if she wasn't Roman Catholic, why did they want to repeal the part relating to Roman Catholics from the Bill of Rights? Which brings me to another question, actually. It might not necessarily have been that. It might have been more relating to Muslims now, when you think about it, which I hadn't really thought of before.
No.
Because we didn't have a problem with Muslims back in 1688, as far as I know.
No, I'm not aware of that, apart from the fact that Barbary Corsairs nicked about 1.5 million Europeans, including many of the people from Cornwall and places like that. But that was those times, but not in terms of them being ensconced on our land. That didn't happen. No.
So I've been through it all. I've been through this counterattack thing, every system. I've been through their corrupt justice system. I ended up in prison for contempt of court, and that was a joke because it's a foreign jurisdiction and they have they don't follow precedent. But when I was able to view what I had been sent to prison for, it was contempt common law. So they're running two concurrent jurisdictions, which begs a question.
Yeah.
If there's a when it comes to the crunch, which allegiance who's your primary allegiance to?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because that document I fired over to you the other day, which we sometimes read through, in fact, it's probably going to be covered tomorrow night, I think, the last part of it, which is this Colonial Courts Act from 1892. Basically, within it talks about them operating just about whatever jurisdiction they like. So you start off on one, the defendant starts off thinking that they're in one, but they inadvertently, for want of a better word, switch it to another one and keep just basically mucking about. I mean, all of these things, you were saying there that you're in contempt of court, but isn't it the other way round? Aren't they in contempt of the law? You're actually respecting the court from its true principles, weren't you?
No, well, actually, not quite, actually, because
all right.
When he came and I stood up, he didn't like that. Because it's not a court, it's a tribunal. He's got no authority whatsoever. And he didn't like it. He scuttled off out and was told, we've got to go and leave the court. So we did. We was chatting around outside. Cut long story short, got arrested, shoveled into the custody suite. Then we had to go and purge our contempt. Well, big mistake. Got up there expecting me to, please, no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it. I asked him what the hell he was doing, running his private business, sitting under the coat of arms, and various other things. So straight back in the cells.
That didn't go down too well with him then, Mike. That didn't go down too well with him. No.
Second time, it was even worse. He said, right, 7 days for contempt. And that was it. I ended up at the, Woodford prison, I don't know.
Right.
So coming to the wrong side of my pension age, and I've started my criminal career. But that's how the system works. If there's not enough criminals, you manufacture them, don't you?
Well, I think there's a lot of truth in that. Yeah, I think it's like that they operate both ends of the stick so that they've always a steady supply of cases that they can charge fees for.
Yeah. So a couple of things. First of all, the key to everything now is the coronation oath. Even Charles, there was a lot of dubious goings on, but part of his oath that he's it's not. He doesn't swear the oath. It's a test. He's not attested it. I forget what the word is now. It's read out to him, and he says, I will or whatever.
Yeah. And
the one bit he agreed to was to maintain the laws of God.
And he said that, did he, recently, when he just did it a few years back? Did he actually say that?
That was one of the questions which I can't think of the word.
But shouldn't it be? It's the laws of God. Wouldn't that be natural law? And that is do no harm.
That's right.
Injury or loss to anybody.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to think of the word when they.
I'm sorry, I can't help you there.
He doesn't swear an oath. The oath administered. Sorry, that's the word.
Right.
The oath is administered. So it's read out to him and he answers. And he said that he promised to maintain the laws of God. And he also promised to cause law with justice and mercy to be executed in all his judgments. Now, the key part in here is the king as the fountain of every species of justice. And there's a court decision of that, I think it's 1694, something or other.
The king is the fountain of every species of justice.
Species of justice.
What a lovely sentence that is. Is that true, though, Mike? Is that?
Yes, I'll read it out to you. This is the killer for them.
Right.
This is one they don't like, and let me just quickly bring it up. Right, the king is a fountain. I'm just trying to think which one I got it down on. The coronation oath, unelected executive, registering a vote. I think it might be on that one. Let's have a look. The king is British.
I'm just letting all it settle in my head, so this is quite nice.
Yes, that's right. So I've got a couple of good articles I wrote. One was about registering to vote, which is another can of worms. But I just want to open this other one. I've got so many articles I've written. That's right, the crackdown on free speech. I think that was the one, yeah. That's a good one. Now, this is what I put. I put an article together, but I'll just read part of it. It says the king's present in each and every court is an essential ingredient, and the king is bound by constitutional duty to fulfill the oath before God in the clear understanding that the judges who represent him will dispense justice according to their judicial oath and required by their bearing true allegiance. Denying the presence of the king would not only place a king in a continuing state of perjury, as you would have failed to fulfill or breach the promises he made, but also the magistrates themselves, who are also custodians and guard of the king's oath. Without the king being represented, it cannot be a court of law, because the king is the chief magistrate and the fountain of every species of justice. Any judgment, ruling, or order would be a nullity and void ab initio. This is confirmed in case law in the King against Elman.
Yeah.
Hillary term 1765, and this is a cracker. By our constitution, the king is the fountain of every species of justice which is administered in this kingdom. That's from 12 Coke's Institute. The king is de jure to distribute justice to all his subjects, and because he cannot do it himself to all persons, he delegates his power to his judges, who have the custody and guard of the king's oath and sit in the seat of the king concerning his justice. Every species of justice.
Mm-hmm.
But how can a king be represented in the court which they set up, which is discretionary jurisdiction?
He
And the other
cannot.
thing is, how the hell can the judiciary uphold the rule of law when they're in a discretionary jurisdiction? It's a joke.
At our
Their
expense, of
discretion
course.
doesn't-
It's a joke
Yes.
at our expense.
Yeah.
So the
him-
so-called
him-
judges, they are sitting there instead, two words, instead of the king. Yes?
in the stead, in other words, in his
Yeah,
place.
That's right.
Because the king can't be in every court.
No.
So the judges swear the judicial oath and an oath of allegiance to the king, and they sit as if they were the king in the court, deciding the issue.
Yeah.
You know, no partisan thing, etc., etc. Now, the point is, when you go to court, we know that they've all been taken over, and the judges don't sit judicially; they sit there as this star chamber proceedings.
Mm-hmm.
And we know this because that they're not represented in any of the courts. But a friend of mine, a very respected member of the community, he was doing a case to do with these child kidnappers in the High Court a year or so ago. And I got him to bring up this case, and he got hold of the office there, the High Court Master's office or something or other. And he wanted to know whether the king was present in court. Well, he was represented in court. And they said no. So I think that pretty much tells you that they're exercising the prerogatives of the king, but the king's prohibited from setting up his own courts. And in fact, I've actually got a link for that to the royals' own website.
Really?
How stupid. Yeah. So
I mean, these things we're using this word court, but if they're in breach of these things, as I sense clearly from what you've just said they are, then they're not courts, are they? They're courts in name only, aren't they?
Yes, they're tribunals. That's right, because they exercise a discretionary jurisdiction. This goes back to a court case which I found in Ashby, 1934.
Yeah.
And it turned out it was a Canadian case. And they talked about this very thing, this discretionary jurisdiction, which I mentioned to you earlier. So they created this jurisdiction, this fake jurisdiction, and using the birth certificate. Well, so we've got all this. So cut to the chase. This is where we are. I had a whole list of things. I was going to bring up some important points.
Oh, we'll have you back, Mike. We're going to have you back, so we don't need to plough through everything all in one go. But sorry.
No, but the point is, my list started turning into more of a book.
Well, don't you think this is the challenge? I drone on about this quite repeatedly, is to get this absolute, what I consider, you are a keeper of the treasure. You're definitely one of those, right? Because everything you say is the treasure left to us by our forefathers, which we are unfamiliar with. And refamiliarizing as a first step obviously is a key part of this, to get the thing pared down. I mean, it can't be, we got to cover all these things, but to get it in such a way that we can make it more easily digestible to a wider audience all the time. I mean, it is a considerable communications challenge. It's not that we're short on the truth or the accuracy of the information that you're providing. It's how do we transmit it more effectively tomorrow than we did yesterday. It's that kind of thing, you know. And it's a massive challenge, because we're talking about hundreds of years of linguistic abuse of our system that everybody just, oh, well, that's the way it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the key. So what if there was a solution?
Yes. What if there's a solution?
A cure.
Yes.
And what if that cure could become about quickly?
Yes,
Because
I'm on for that.
I don't need this list. I got things like, because I got on about the electoral register, because that's another can of worms, and the Army Regulations Bill and the Foreign Enlistment Act, and where they decide who the enemies are, the executive taking control. I've got these AI data centers. I can go on and go on, but what we want to know is, we know what's going on. It's going on a daily basis. It's impacting everyone's lives.
Yes.
What, in simple terms, can we do about it? And that comes down to one thing. And would you believe, the guys kindly helped us. The Coronation Oath and King Charles. You want to listen to some of the documentaries that Laura the Insider who's that guy she speaks to, I can't think, the bishop or something or other, Sir something or other.
Okay.
Can't think, but anyway, he's got lots of videos because he's professing the Muslim faith. He wants to be, in fact, it was altered in some palace document about being a king of faith, etc. Well, at the end of the day, he's already broken his vows to God. It's, like it or not, it's happened. It happened in my court case. He promised to cause law with justice in mercy to be executing all his judgment. But we don't. You get the opposite, because we've kicked God out of our lives. We're now getting ruled by wrong, not right.
Yes.
Charles has to go. And fortunately, he's hasting his demise. And what we need to do, to cut to the chase, the throne of England has to be declared vacant.
Because it is vacant, isn't it? In actuality, it is currently vacant. Has it been vacant then since 1714, since they started?
Yes, it would be. Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. And now, here we go. And it says here, I'm just going to find the Huddlestone one that just shows you about that they had a partnership. The grievance by causing and executing the commission of the Great Seal for erecting a court called the Court of Commissioners for Ecclesiastical Causes. The remedy, the commission for erecting late Court of Commissioners for Ecclesiastical Causes and all other commissions and courts of a like nature are illegal and pernicious, which Oxford English Dictionary calls destructive, ruinous, and fatal.
Mm-hmm.
That was all started with the courts up to 2003. What happened? There should be a commission of the peace, and then that's where they set up the new Supreme Court. And is it Faulkner and Blair?
Ugh, I'm shuddering. I just felt ill when you said those names. Don't do that.
Yeah. And then the Lord Chancellor, being the keeper of the King's conscience or the Queen's conscience, he advised the Queen to hand her prerogatives to Parliament to create this administrative system of law.
Mm-hmm.
But the Queen couldn't pass it because it was contrary to her oath. So she handed the prerogative to Parliament for them to deal with. But she still, even though Parliament, it was passed through the Commons and the Lords, she still couldn't pass it. So they got her to sign a letters patent, authorised one of the councillors of state to pass it in her act.
What is a letters patent? What is it? I've heard the term many times.
It's an open letter, authorising certain things to be done.
Okay.
But yeah, so she just said, it's greetings, etc. I've actually got the one with Boris Johnson because someone was doing this research.
Oh, you're bringing all the names up, Mike.
Yeah.
I feel nauseous.
Yeah,
when you mention
we're
those
not
names,
feeling very good at this end. But you're right.
In fact, his patent actually said that the office of Lord High Treasurer being vacant.
Right.
So essentially, I suppose what I'm really saying at the end of the day is that the oath, no monarch has sworn the correct oath, and that's the condition for holding the crown. And there's Barrister's opinion on that as well in 2017. He was trying to get away with some changes to the oath by saying implied repeal. You can't impliedly repeal an oath which the monarch has sworn to us. And if the monarch doesn't keep to that oath, we kick him out and we get a better one. But because the monarch has received evil counselling from the executive,
mm-hmm.
which he's done, he's changed his oath, he's never asked us. We are now relieved from that contract. And there's the case law is, I'm just trying to see if it's here. Again, I've got so many articles here.
Was that a question from someone? What a question?
Yeah, that's Paul.
Eric.
I think.
Oh, was it Paul?
Hello.
Yes,
Yes, Paul. Yeah.
A quick question. So, in order to fix it, the monarchy has to be declared vacant. However, Charles does have an heir. Are they going to try and throw William in there to buy them time so they can continue the de facto flubbery, as it were?
Yeah. Now that's the interesting part, because at common law, on the demise of the king, or the crown, because the crown isn't what we thought it was. You count crown as a king, now it's a crown corporation. But on their demise, everyone, all those in office, went. All of them. But in 1901, don't forget, we've got the old Salisbury. Remember the Salisbury from 1890, Heligoland, and the other one, all the Admiralty law stuff. Well, in 1901, he was the Prime Minister, and they passed the Demise of the Crown Act, I think it was 1901, retrospective legislation to give themselves permanency. And the King actually said in his first speech, "Thank you for passing the act."
Because he couldn't, or he wouldn't.
Yes, right. Well, the executive passed it.
But how can they pass it, really? It gets tortuous, doesn't it? They're not empowered to pass it, are they? So this is all skullduggery and subterfuge and linguistic deception.
No monarch has passed legislation since the time of Victoria. I think it's about 1854 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So you work that one out. But of course, they gave themselves a permanent position, and then roundabout there's a judgment in the Privy Council where they suggested that they also should have permanent. The Privy Council judgment said the judges should have permanency as well. Well, the ones who are running it all, the executive and the judiciary, they gave themselves permanent position. Well, at common law, they go because they've given bad advice to the king. None of them can be trusted, and the whole lot stand down. But it gets better after that, because the Governor Generals all stand down. We've got Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and all the other 60 or 70 other countries. The whole system will be finished, and we can do that quite simply by declaring the throne of England vacant, because the king has broken that original contract.
Yeah.
And the basis for that is to Cheverel Judgment 1710. The nature of our constitution is that of a limited monarchy, wherein the supreme power is communicated and divided between the Queen, the Lords and the Commons, though the executive power and administration be wholly in the Crown. In other words, just the king.
Right.
1714, that is. The terms of such a constitution express an original contract between the Crown and the people. The consequences of such a frame of government are obvious. If the executive part endeavours the subversion and total destruction of the government, the original contract is thereby broke, and the right of allegiance ceases. That part of the government thus fundamentally injured hath the right to save or recover the constitution in which it had an original interest. They destroyed the Commons, they destroyed the Lords, they've taken over the judiciary, they're in total power.
The timeline on this, I mean, Mike, the timeline on this would make a phenomenal sort of documentary series and teaching aid. It's like the whole steps through it as it builds up as you're talking. It's quite an amazing, detailed thing that you're giving us. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
If I just give you Blackstone's one, because he confirms the same thing. This is supported in Chapter 7 of Blackstone's Commentaries of the Laws of England, entitled Of the King's Prerogative.
Mm-hmm.
We will now be allowed to lay down the law of redress against public oppression. Full stop there. Lay down the law of redress against public oppression. If, therefore, any future prince should endeavour to subvert the constitution by breaking the original contract between the king and the people, should violate the fundamental laws, and should withdraw himself out the kingdom, so there's three there, we are now authorised to declare that this conjunction of circumstances would amount to an abdication, and thus the throne would thereby vacant. But it is not for us to say that any one, so they don't say we all have to all three, but any one, or two, or three. So what they're not saying that any one or two of these ingredients would amount to such a situation,
right,
for other circumstances which a fertile imagination may furnish. Since both in law and history are silent, it becomes us to be silent too, leaving it to future generations, whenever necessity and the safety of the whole shall require it, the exercises of those inherent, though latent powers of society, which no climate, no time, no constitution, no contract can ever destroy or diminish.
Right.
There is. A revolution means to overthrow the political system. That's what it means.
Yes.
The political side of the king, you have a natural side and a body politic. And the body politic has consumed the natural one.
It has.
And that's what they did with the Statute of Westminster in Australia. That's why they could all have their own, King of Australia, King of New Zealand. Why? Because they were all corporations. And that happened after the League of Nations, because they were set sail. Everyone that was an independent country, and Canada, because they had to join the League of Nations, they had to be sovereign countries, but no one told the people.
So, and this process, as you're describing it, this all roots back to the 1600s and this breach in things. There's a comment in here. I've got a couple of comments in worth reading out to you, actually, Mike. One's from Warren. It's just a statement. He says, so I would say, therefore, the most recent English monarch of England is Elizabeth I, who died in 1604, because weren't all the other ones after that of German descent? And then we got the Dutch people and all that. Is Elizabeth I the actual last true English monarch that we've had? Because after 1714, we didn't have any, right?
Quite possibly so.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm losing signal. I wanted to listen.
Oh, sorry. My wife was here. I think she was trying to listen to something, because I could hear this tapping noise and wonder what the hell she's doing.
That's all right. It lends atmosphere to the broadcast, Mike. This is fine.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah. So that's where we're on. The fact that they created this jurisdiction and not telling us, etc., and then using our birth certificate.
Yeah.
There is only one. There is only one cure. The throne of England has to be declared vacant. Then they all go. I mean, Chatham House again is another classic one. When we're talking about defence policy, someone can go and say, we love Russians, we hate Ukrainians. At the moment, we love Ukrainians and hate Russians, etc. This is policy. This is politics. This is not what we should be. We should be under God's law, natural
It's politics driven out of commerce. That's what it's about.
Yes, so, and if we have the throne declared vacant,
yes. Well,
and don't forget the king is elected because he faces east, south, west, and north, and then we're asked to accept him. So there's going to be a bit of a problem there because the next king that comes along is going to have to be bound by the original terms of the 1688 Coronation Oath Act. There's no getting away from it. Like
well,
I'm
happy to declare the throne vacant, Mike, if you are. And I invite all the listeners to declare it even in your head. I mean,
that's right.
Yeah, because the whole thing about their power, the power that's in, like breaking that down isn't a great part of it. It seems to me that the vast majority of us, and we are less stupid, I would suggest, probably than the layman currently, because we're listening to things like this, and we've got a lot of people that tunnel into these things. But the vast majority of people are literally unaware of probably anything that you've spoken about at all. I'm more fully aware of it now, and we touch upon this from time to time, but they don't know. And so their power exists in the confused state of mind that most of our people have been indoctrinated into. They're not familiar. I was never taught this at school. Were you taught this stuff at school?
No, never.
No,
and I'll tell you,
no.
No, they don't teach you about banking and law, do they? And obviously the two are intertwined like two serpents, throttling us all the time and shattering everything that we want. And you don't get any history teachers saying, now, boys and girls, I'm going to take the next year we're going to study the evolution of the English law and how it's been abused and why you currently don't have any and why the world is the way that it is. And the peasant's declaration that the throne is vacant is something. How do we do? Do we just all start shouting it at 1 o'clock every Friday? I mean, it might be a start. I mean, it's
well that's a key because it's not for Charles to abdicate and then we get the next in line and we're still back to square one.
Yeah. Well, he can't abdicate, can he? Because he's not the king. How could he?
That's the other point. That's why we have to declare that he's abdicated,
right?
And the throne of England is vacant. Because don't forget, William of Orange landed at Torbay in Devon on the 5th of November, 1688, to start the revolution.
Yes,
invited over here. And that's not too far away. That's what's got to happen. We can't keep on going like this. There's no point for someone contacting me, for example, saying, "Oh, I've got a show next March. If you want to come on it." I would hope it'll all be over long before then, because this system's got to come down. It's destroying everything because we're governed by wrong, not right in our corporate capacity. And even our ancestors in the debates when Rothschild got in, that was destruction of Christianity. That was his foothold in the door.
You're talking about what? When he went into Parliament in 1858 or whenever it was? That event.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. And the bloke actually said there, all we can do is record these journals what led up to these events so that in future someone can look back and see what happened in order to correct it.
Yeah.
And they said that in the journals of Parliament because that was the biggest thing. Rothschilds getting a foothold into Parliament, and that was the beginning of the separation of church and state. And then 1868, the Promissory Oath Act or something. You could now attest or affirm, etc., instead of swearing to God. And in 1964, they took out any reference to God, the oath, the original constable's oath, and replaced it with an attestation. So no constable has sworn an oath; they've been attested because they've removed God, and they've removed it from the court system. You can no longer. I used to go into the court regularly to swear an affidavit. Pick up the Bible, swear by Almighty God, this is my name and handwriting, the conscience, this is my affidavit, true, and all that crap.
Yeah.
Don't do that anymore. You just have to sign the statement, which if you lie on that statement, you commit contempt of court. Now they'll deal with it. And if you do it to the High Court, again, you can't submit any. It's all electronic. It's all submitted.
Yep.
And it's just a statement, witness statements and that sort of thing. It's a joke. So people have to realise that the key element to this is God. They've taken God out. Charles has sworn to maintain the laws of God. None of the monarchs since 1714 have done so. And the throne has to be declared vacant. One last comment from the order. This was the first time they started using orders in council, which is what they do now, in 1808. And what they actually said here, the power of making laws to bind the people of this realm is exclusively vested in His Majesty by and with the advice and consent of the Lords spiritual and temporal and commons of the realm in Parliament assembled, and that every attempt to make, alter, suspend, or repeal such laws by order of His Majesty in His Privy Council or in any other manner than by His Majesty in Parliament is unconstitutional and illegal.
So we've got a massive public awareness and informing campaign to get underway, don't we?
Yes. They need to know the good bit first about declaring the throne of England vacant, and then there's a blank spot, and you just got to fill in a little gap as to why.
You know, if we go back to Anglo-Saxon times, and we're just coming up to the end of this slot, which has been fantastic, Mike. I've so enjoyed it. It's been brilliant. But back in Anglo-Saxon days, they used to hold the succession of the crown did not necessarily go to the king's son or daughter. Was there a point in that? I mean, obviously that was what laid roots to the whole of the War of the Roses and the whole of the Tudor, scrapping all the time. It's no, I'm the rightful heir and this, that, and the. What would be the system of actually locating a king? How would you do it? I understood that the elders, in simpler times when you're in a village, they'd sit around and go, "We got 4 guys here. We think it's one of them. Let's have a chat. It's you, Bob. You're going to be the next guy in charge." Is that how it should work? How would we actually make it work?
Well, it'd be the same. William of Orange, they called the last parliament.
Yeah.
Last legitimate parliament. If we had to do that, Christ, I don't know how far we'd go back. We'd probably go back to Magna Carta.
I'm on for it if you are. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, this is only a scratch of the information I've got. There's just so much, which is why I got so much information that I can't get it all out. And one thing, when you mention something else, it leads on to it, and you forget your original thread. But so, well,
I'd like to, out of this show hour as well, I'm going to keep on having a chat with you, because it's almost like a copy briefing has got to be done. Like the organisation you go, well, here's a 3-page leaflet about it, or here's a 1-page poster. Okay, now this is the 3-page. Now this is 16 pages. Just some pathway into getting people. I mean, it's like a degree course in the history that you should have been taught, but that you never were, of course, for obvious reasons.
Well, the documents I might send to you, I mean, they can be circulated, because you find out about registering to vote. And when you register to vote, you automatically, you agree that you live in a democracy. Well, of course, we don't live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional monarchy. Yeah. But you agree that you live in a democracy and will abide by the decisions.
Yes.
So you come off the voters list, but then you can't vote for the MP you want. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where we go from here on that one. But anyway, I've got it all chapter and verse. It's some of the ones that I've done, I've sent you. I mean, you're free to circulate them.
I've just got to say a little word here, Mike. We're just about to leave WBN 324, so we'll be back again same time next week. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not doing a song right now because we're just talking so much, but it's just to say goodbye to everybody on WBN 324. We're carrying on our FFT radio. If you want to carry on listening, go to paulenglishlive.com and you'll find all the listening links there. Sorry about that, Mike. Please carry on.
Yeah. So no, that was it. That was it. Encompasses it. So I've got a load of other stuff, but because the knowledge is so vast. But what I'm trying to explain to people is that there is a solution, and it can be very, very quick. And we haven't got an awful long time. We haven't got months and months and months. It's not just going on here, it's going on in Europe. They're all destroying their own countries with the money they're shipping out to Ukraine. They're destroying their own industries. It's self-destruct, because that's the nature of their business, that they're evil and they're satanic, and they've got to come down. Yeah. It's that simple. The whole system has got to come down.
What's your view, Mike, that Edward VII was aware of what was going on and he was done in? Do you know much about that? That was
No, is that
Edward. That was the one after Victoria. That was one that died in 1910. They
No,
reckon
I
he
don't
was
know
done
much.
in.
I don't know much about him.
Well, I there's so many things that came through. There's so many questions and other things. I've made notes of them that we've not had time to cover, which is not such a bad thing because an hour and 50 minutes on this stuff it's been amazing, Mike. I mean, I got a sense of what you knew from the phone calls that we'd had. And a shout out to Maribel for setting this up. I hope she's been listening because it's been... you've sort of given an overlay for all these key structural points about the decay. I agree with you absolutely. We are being destroyed from people who are purporting to be our government. They're not. They're masquerading as it. It's a complete masquerade. And the power of the masquerade is held in place by the relentless bombardment into everybody's minds from when they first start going to school. This has been going on for hundreds of years, to unpick all this stuff. So... listen, I'd love to get you. I'll speak to you after the show, maybe tomorrow, over the weekend, the next few days, and we'll book you in a few weeks' time if you're on for it. I'm not going to hold you to it because I know you're busy and all that kind of stuff. But this has just been exhausting, but in the most wonderful way. You know what I mean? It's just been tremendous. The amount of ground that you've covered. There's enough to keep everybody going for several years, I think, with all the points that you've raised. So. I'd like to talk to you. I've got these documents, everybody, so I'm going to try and find a way to publish them. We'll probably stick them in the Paul English Telegram group, and I'll also put them in the FFT radio group because there's a section in FFT radio on law and law, so we'll start making those documents available there. I'll get them up at some point during the course of tomorrow, and people can start to read them and share them around, Mike, because it's great stuff. And
All right, thanks for inviting us on.
it's been wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
And,
Yeah, Eric.
Can I apply for the job of king, please? If it's seats vacant. I mean, if you vote.
No, I want to be king. Bun fight.
I want to be king.
Like I said, Lord High Treasurer's already been taken because Rupert and finances, that would be a corker.
Yeah, if we can, the main thing I've banged on about here for donkey's years is this overthrow of the Bank of England. That's the crown. That's part of the Crown Empire, and it's just every single thing that we use is basically bogus. It's all completely, it's bogus. It's bogus.
Come down.
Absolutely, it's got to come down. Yeah,
We're run, you're right, by demonic criminals, and the more I look into it, the more demonic they appear to be, because my family were attacked demonically, and what I experienced was a microcosm of the way governments react. They're exactly the same.
Yeah.
And you can understand their mindset once you experience that. So
you
that's
can.
sort of
Mike,
I've
got the next guest lined up, and I'm going to play a quick song to give everybody just a couple of minutes break. But I'll be in touch, and we'll have you back. It's been brilliant today. Thank you very much for coming along. And as I said, thanks to Maribel, and I'll be in touch, Mike. Absolutely wonderful show. Enjoyed it a great deal.
All right,
Tremendous
thank you,
stuff.
Eric, and you, Paul.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
See you soon, Mike.
Thanks.
Bye for now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We'll just go to a quick song, and then we'll bring Monika in because she's... anyway, I played this a few weeks ago. This is that lovely little folk song. I don't know if I did it even. I don't think so. Anyway, here we go. We're going to go to a folk song, and then we'll be back. And this should sound nice now because I'm not all buggered up.
A fine young man it was indeed, all mounted upon his milk-white steed. He rode and he rode, he rode all alone, until he met sweet lovely Joan. Good morning to you, my pretty young maid, and twice good morning to you, sir, she said. He gave her a wink, but she rolled a dark eye. Says he to himself, I'll be there by and by. Oh, don't you think those boots of hay would make a pretty place for us to play? So come with me, my pretty young thing, and I will give you my golden ring. He took off his ring of gold, and says, my pretty young fair miss, this you behold. I will give it freely for your maidenhead, and her cheeks they blush like the roses red. Come give that ring into my hand, and I will neither stay nor stand, for your ring is worth much more to me than 20 maidenheads, said she. So as he made his way to the hay, she leapt on his horse and rode away. She rode and she rode, she rode all alone, and that was the last he saw of Joan. But neither did she think herself quite safe until she came to the true love's gates. She robbed him of his horse and his ring, and left him in a rage in the meadows green.
And that was the lovely Joan. And now we've got the lovely Monika. Lovely Monika, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Good day. Good evening, all
Yeah,
of you.
nice to have you.
I tuned into
Hello.
Thank you. I tuned into the last 20, 25 minutes of your previous guest.
Yep.
That was very interesting. And basically what I got out of that part, the throne of England must be declared vacant.
Yes.
And maybe we should extend that to all seats of government currently, in our nations, in our countries, should be declared vacant because they are illegitimate and they are criminal, and there seems to be a hidden hand at force, don't you
Really?
think?
Yeah.
No.
I think you might be,
Never.
I think you might be right, Monika. I think there's a hidden hand. Although listening to Mike, it's far less hidden. That was Mike Burke who was on. First time I've had him on. I only bumped into him a couple of weeks ago, courtesy of another guest, and he knows a lot of extremely relevant stuff. I thought he did a brilliant job, really. I could understand there's so many different sort of points to it. But yes, we were talking the other day, I think, on last week's show about shouting. And it's obviously the thing that we've got to shout is that the throne is effing vacant. Eric.
Oh, yes. I
The throne is effing vacant. And I think you're right, Monika.
Yes.
All of these people in power supposedly over us are bogus. And yet, of course, the brainwashing goes on, doesn't it? The conditioning, the compliance with it. Oh, if we just vote another party and they'll put it right. Well,
Yes.
they can't. They can't put it right. They're part of the breach in the system itself. None of them can do that until we actually I've mentioned that here in this little island, in this country, we've got a lot of treasure, and Mike is one of the keepers of that. Definitely. He just sort of was knocking the dust off of all this hidden treasure that we've got, saying this is the root of the problem, and it is. So you might not have caught in the early part, but we haven't had a sitting monarch since 1714. We haven't had one. None of them.
Yes, I did hear him say that.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It is.
And I think I lament that I didn't hear it, but I could go back to the archives, I'm sure, to hear why and how that is the case, that none of them were actually legitimate. So the seat must be declared vacant. So yeah, that was very interesting. And I have a question for you, Paul.
Yeah.
How long it's a very, very serious question.
Okay.
How long is a donkey's year?
Oh, yeah, donkey's years. It's a very serious question, and Eric's going to answer it.
Well, it means a heck of a long time. That's
It
that
does.
lasts for donkey's years, yes. Or when the cows come home, that's another one.
Why
But,
have you just got a donkey, Monika? Is that what's happened?
No, I think you said it. It hasn't been a legitimate.
Yeah,
I think
in
you were
donkey's
talking
years.
about the throne of England hasn't been legitimately occupied in donkey's years.
That's right. It hasn't. It just means very, very. I don't know why. Do donkeys live a long time, Eric? Do they? I don't know.
I don't know, but I know that a donkey in Norfolk means something that you eat. And what it is, it's a big piece of bread that they hollow the inside out, and they put all bits of food in there. And the farmers used to eat a donkey when they went farming.
They're
So
strange folk in Norfolk, aren't
Yes.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so they thought, because I worked with a fella who said, "Oh, I've just had me donkey." Pardon? I've just had me donkey. What's he talking about? Means he just went and had his dinner. So there we go. But Monika, are you up for Queen? What do you think? I'm going to put my name up for it.
Oh,
why not?
Right. I did hear you all kind of competing for that position. I might as well throw my hat into
You
the
got to
ring
practice
too.
the wave. You got to wave with the back of your hand and
I've
talk
been
down to
practicing.
people.
I've been
Excellent.
practicing that.
But Monika, you
years.
can't support Eric. You've got to support me for king.
Ooh, bitch.
No, we've all got to fight.
Oh,
There's
bloody
only
hell,
one way
Paul's
to
not gonna
sort it
chip in as
out.
well.
Fight.
That's right. Paul, you're not going to.
Actually,
He can't
Actually,
come in.
I was
You're in the
about
wrong
to
part of the
suggest-
world. You're not going to be king. Forget that.
actually,
Yeah,
I'm in Monica's
we're a
part of the
Commonwealth
world.
country, you know.
Yeah, King
I am in
Paul and
Monica's part of the
Queen.
world, so I was
Yeah.
all on board to either have Mike
dropped
for
off there,
king
Eric,
or
probably on purpose.
Monica
But anyway,
for
did
queen.
you want to get into something more serious?
Yes.
I mean, that was
Yes.
very serious.
Well,
we're just
something
making
else
light of it.
before we go. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk across you there. Please excuse my
No,
rudeness.
that's okay.
But I was going to say, did you know that you living in Canada, you only officially own, I'm not sure if it's 1 or 2 feet under your feet, and below that, the monarch
Yes.
of England owns it.
Yes, I did know that. That's mineral rights. They talk
Yeah.
about mineral rights. So
Yeah.
we I guess we have just soil rights, but we don't have mineral rights.
Hmm.
Yeah, I did know that. I'm not sure exactly what the depth is. I guess you know it better than me. 2 feet
Well,
or something.
if you've got a big apple tree, you could be eating what a King Charlie boy might, because its roots might go below the footage that you're allowed. So
They
what
might.
happens there?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
might. They usually go outwards, though. I think. Well, maybe there's a tap root that goes down, but
Yeah.
but anyway,
You could
and
be
I
the
didn't mean
monarch,
to-
Monica. My last little sort of chirpy
Sure.
thing is, well, Monica the monarch sounds good, doesn't it? Don't you think?
Yes, of
It's got a
course.
kind of
Yeah.
ring to it. So you could be the queen, and then you could sort out those mineral rights, and you could have them. I'd be fine with that. You know, maybe the Lord Privy Chancellor would be okay with it too. So I wouldn't mind. It'd
But
be okay.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of those mineral rights or soil rights or whatever we do own or not, I mean, they're trying to make it so that we, the people of European ancestry, we own nothing. But the natives own it all, even though they say that they never owned property. That was against their philosophy, against their way of thinking. They did not. No one person had ownership over the land. They thought that was a bizarre concept, but now they own it all. I mean, that's what they're well on their way to trying to establish. Here, especially here in the province where I live, that recently a whole large amount of public lands, and particularly in the provincial capital, were just handed over to them, and they could potentially close those public lands to the public if they choose. It's unbelievable, but that wasn't even the topic that I was going to get into, although it would segue well from this.
Yeah, I think it's a good segue. I
throne.
suspect, Monica, on that score, the goal is not to give them, even though currently maybe the current period is that they're being given ownership of this stuff. The main thing is to actually remove ownership from us lot. And then once that's sorted out, then the people that think they own it, they'll find that they don't own it either. They'll lose out to something else.
Bingo.
Yeah, it's just a
Bingo.
domino effect. They'll just take it off them.
Well, yeah, we know who's behind all this. It's the same old.
Eskimos.
So, yeah, the
Okay.
Eskimos with the little hats.
We stay safe. We stay safe around here, Monica. You know what we're like. We're pathetic.
Pathetic. you pathetic lot over there.
I'm sorry.
We
It's
know
true,
who
though.
we're talking about. No. No. Anyway, but they are behind it. The UNDRIP, that's the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and they apparently now there's a lot of wheeling and dealing going on between these Indigenous folks and the Chinese, for instance. And apparently that's just fine, according to UNDRIP. If they want to make their business deals, they can. If they want to do some development deals with the Chinese, they can. And since, as you say, Paul, the idea here is to dispossess us of European heritage, the white folks, the people who founded and built this country. they want to dispossess us, and then, you know, are they really caring about these indigenous peoples, and they really would like to have them, you know, roam and hunt and do their fishing and their berry picking unmolested from us evil white people? Or is it about something else going on here? I mean, if they're wheeling and dealing with the Chinese to, let's say, do some, you know, pipelines or some gold mines or whatever it is that they're negotiating, and then they're going under the UNDRIP where they don't have to go through the regular channels of you know, whatever they you know, getting permits from the government, which is a criminal organization anyway. But still, you know, what I'm basically trying to say here, it is really about first of all dispossessing us, which I already said, and you said it. And then it's the usual suspects basically running roughshod. I mean, everything they're telling us is completely backwards, really, from reality. You know, in the main time, they tell us that we're doing too much burning of fossil fuels, so climate change. Meanwhile, the AI centers are going up like mushrooms popping out of a wet forest floor. And that apparently uses a lot of energy and water, but that doesn't get mentioned in their equations of, gee, we have to cut back on our usage of energy. And yeah, on and on it goes. But anyway, I did have something else in mind that it's just sort of fresh on my mind that I've been thinking about. Or do you want to stay on this topic?
No, I want you. I want to hear from you. So we you know, we've done the segue bit, and you go. Your stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So this actually happened a few years ago in Canada, and it did get some pushback, and it did, you know, hit the media and the alternative media, and people were talking about it and were outraged about it. But then it kind of went away, and I'm kind of resurrecting this because I think that it is one of the most evil, diabolical, upside down, inverted, anti-life pieces of legislation ever. And it's something called, it's an act, Bill C4 in Canada, an act to amend the criminal code. And then in brackets, it has conversion therapy. Do any of you have an idea what I am talking about when I say conversion therapy?
Is this when you decide to become a Muslim and you need help?
Try again. Anybody else?
When you have your gas changed from North Sea gas to...
Yeah, that's it. Eric's right.
That's it, North Sea. Because my uncle, you see, he had a butcher's shop, and a woman came in when they was converting gas over to North Sea, and she said, how long does this meat take to cook with North Sea gas? He said, depends on how high the tide is. He said, go and phone... Go along to the gas board and ask them what the tide tables are. So if it's high tide, it'll be a little bit shorter cooking. And she believed him.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even know what you were talking about at first.
No, I don't. I know. Anyway, that's obviously not conversion therapy, is it, Monika? What is it? Enlighten us.
Oh, it might be. Maybe it's about going from Fahrenheit to Celsius or something. I don't know. Maybe.
I'm the foggiest.
No. Okay, this is, and it's specifically directed at harming children. So conversion therapy is if you counsel a child, or, you know, give them, you know, teaching or encouragement to stay with their assigned at birth, the sex that was assigned to them at birth.
Assigned to them. Oh, right.
Yeah. Well, what they are either a girl or boy. Now, if they have been indoctrinated and influenced by all the stuff around us, and in school in particular, they get very, very influenced there with all the sexualization and the you know, porno pushing, really, which they sometimes euphemistically call the family health class. So then they want to, you know, do some they want, oh, I don't know if I feel more like a boy today or a girl, because that's what they get asked, by their grade 1 teacher. Do you feel more like a girl today or a boy? Anyway, they get all this pressure and they get lots of attention if they suddenly say, oh, I think I'm in the wrong body. Then if somebody was to counsel them that, oh, no, listen, you are just perfect the way you are, and this is how you were born. God made you this way. You are a girl, or you are a boy, like whatever it is the case may be. That is conversion therapy, not the ones who are influencing them to change their gender. No, but that's what the word sounds like, doesn't it? Like
Yes.
if you convert something, you're changing it from what it was or what it is to something different.
Yes.
No, conversion therapy is if let's say you take your child aside and say, hey, listen, that's nonsense. Don't you listen to that. You are just beautiful the way you are. Doesn't matter, little girl, that you love to climb trees. That is the most normal thing in the world. Or it doesn't matter, little boy, that you like to maybe, fix something by sewing with a thread and needle. That's just fine, like.
Yeah, I did. I used to have to mend my jeans sometimes if my mum wasn't around. I had to do that.
Yeah, my brother Alfred did too. That's why I thought of that example.
Yes, good one.
We have pictures of him as a little boy. He's sewing up his little stuffed animal. Because
That's not a euphemism for something, is it? His little stuffed animal. No, good grief.
No.
Oh, God.
Oh, my
Phew.
goodness. Stop it.
Sorry, we're getting out of hand here, aren't we? It was you, Monica.
Yes.
You're just trouble.
Anyway,
Sorry.
Yeah, trouble. So I'm going to just read a little bit of this legislation. This is right out of the legislation. Conversion therapy is defined as a practice, a treatment, or a service designed to change a person's gender expression so that it conforms to the sex assigned to the person at birth, or repress or reduce non-heterosexual attraction or sexual behavior, or repress a person's non-cisgender identity, or repress or reduce a person's gender expression that does not conform to the sex assigned to the person at birth. And then it goes on to say, the definition also provides for greater certainty. Like here they want to make it, more clear exactly what they're saying, because this is all very, very confusing, right? But for greater certainty, the definition also provides that conversion therapy does not include a practice, treatment, or service that relates to a person's gender transition. And that is not based on an assumption that a particular sexual orientation or a gender identity or a gender expression is to be preferred over another. Okay, that I just am over. I don't know how to express I am.
Well done for reading it. Well done for reading
raging,
it. Yeah.
Thank you. I am just livid about this because, you see, this law, like, you will not be criminalized if you take that child and you just pervert them and you confuse them and you cause them to doubt themselves and you cause them all kinds of turmoil, and then you might cause them to become sterile because they might just go along with some of this stuff. No, that's not illegal. In fact, that's protected. They clearly say that here. But the person who tries to put sense into this child that's been influenced by these absolute perverts and this diabolical plan to ruin our children, the person who wants to, remove them from that situation, the person that wants to convince them that they're, what they are is what they are, and this is all just good, that is explicitly a criminal act, and people can go to jail for that. In fact, they have gone to jail for that.
Mm-hmm.
So up to 5 years for this kind of thing. So anyway, that's what's on my mind right now. And this was passed in early 2022, I believe. I have to check that again, but it was introduced in late 2021 and then passed. This is law in Canada.
By who? But I mean, I know this sounds like sort of sophistry or whatever, but the fact is that the actual situation is that the people that are issuing these sentences out of their mouths that they say are laws, those people are in breach of the law. So, and I know this seemed maybe a moot point, but that's really the essence of it. Why are they issuing things like that? I've got that smell up my nostrils of the reek of cultural Marxist bullshit. And it's very effective, isn't it? In the sense that it garners a lot of attention from people. People like yourself currently are getting outraged by it because of what you think it implies, and I understand that as well. But I think there's another stance that can be taken, is that anybody, instead of us defending ourselves against these things, we have to assert our own interests, and it's easier said than done. But there is a route in here. The more we keep, which is basically, did you just say that? Right, well, we're going to lock you up. What's the difference between us and them? They've got a lot of people enthralled to them, literally. They are enthralled, are they not? In the true sense of it, they go, oh, the government, this thing said that, therefore I believe in government, because obviously we've just got a bad one right now, but if we get a good one, it'll be better. And so it's all these other people around you that actually lend their weight, their sort of supine cowardice to the whole thing. And then you end up in this situation where you're the only person in the room whose light bulbs are on. Everybody else is basically a drone, and so they go along with this stuff. And it's not just this, is it? But of course it is. It's another attack on us. I see this as just another front to wipe us out. That's what it's about, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, of course it is. And I mean, that's great. I like what you said, Paul. The reality is that families have been split asunder on this.
No doubt.
The marriages have been split up. Usually it's the man who ends up being criminalized and he goes to jail. There have been cases of people being jailed for trying to protect their young children from these harms.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is, I mean, the government, they're not legitimate. And that was like what we started out talking about, because your previous guest was, so eloquently talking about the throne of England must be declared vacant. And I add that all these governments are illegitimate. So, but still, they do have the power of their, they can come and arrest you. They can take you away in handcuffs. They have the power of the might, I guess, that they have their swords, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to for sure push back, fight back. This is completely insane. It's diabolical. It's so upside down. I think it's an illustration of the most it's like a clear picture of how inverted everything is, because this is just complete anti-life, to the point of reversing the sexes themselves. I mean, there cannot be anything more anti-life than that, when you negate the female and male. And that's essentially what this is about,
It is. I mean, I think it's also an aspect to this, but this aspect I think applies to everything, is this, I know we use the word a lot, but you have to use it. The fact is that you are surrounded, the majority are brainwashed into complying with these people that have assumed authority. They're completely brainwashed into it. So they've developed a belief system, haven't they, in the authority of government. But the government is a bogus structure, as we were covering the last 2 hours, and we mention it in different ways on other shows. But it's bogus. It's actually not an honourable or real or true thing. And, I think Mike was basically saying as well that, we are governed by evil. I think that's pretty clear that we are. And now, are you governed by evil? Well, you're not, to the degree that other people are, because you have at least not lost sight of the question. You question these things. But we're surrounded by so many people that don't. And I'm not saying, I have no idea what I would do in that situation. I mean, the idea is we've got to find a way of, what's the scriptural thing? Come out of her. This entire system is wretched, and it's repugnant, to God, and we have to ally ourselves with God, whatever you might think that means. But really, that is the only way through. We're not going to do it without that, because all these clever dicks step in and go, that thing that you had to read out, it's complete crap. But somebody actually wrote that. That's what some minion actually believed that, I'm assuming, and wrote it. Whereas if it was given to me in the department, I go, I'm off. You're crackers. You're completely mad. If you keep writing more of this stuff, I'm going to burn this house down with you in it. I mean, it's that kind of response
Yes.
that I don't know, but they've got such a hold over so many people. That's the issue. Is there a way to break that? There might not be. I don't know. But people, this is what we've said before. The COVID thing's an example of it. Is this gross level of stupidity amongst people that they've been trained into? People are not naturally this stupid. This is unnatural.
No.
They've been inducted into it, into a satanic view of life, a godless. That's what it means, a godless way of life. And if you can't get any sense out of nothing without that. Nothing makes sense.
It is a spell. It is a spell that we
Absolutely.
have been put under, and we have been dumbed down. Contrary to what we were taught in school, we were given the clear impression that we are on the rise in every aspect in terms of our our knowledge and our technological advancement, and our morality is always going forward. We are rising, we are going up, and this was while we were being dumbed down
Yes.
by lies, and not only lies, but physical assaults and destruction of things in the past which kept us healthy. For example, I mean, it seems like a completely different topic, but it's something that I just recently was seeing some documentary videos on, and that is the great bells, all the great bells that were in the towers and the churches and the big domes, big, huge bells, some of them weighing tons, that were some of them in existence for hundreds of years. And in 1917, there was the Great Bell Melt, and it was in the name of the war effort. They needed to melt down the bells for ammunition and bullets, and nothing could be further from the truth. It was not for the war effort. The target itself was the bells, to destroy them, because these bells were finely crafted to create a frequency of vibration with many overtones that were very healing and soothing and beautiful. And I mean, I
Yes.
can't really recount all this, but they were a
Well, I
source
can.
of well-being, not just to tell the time, not just to announce the beginning of a mass, or to announce that somebody's having a wedding now, or something like that, which that was all good and beautiful, but they were actually a source of well-being. And I mean, the people just mourned and wept when these bells were being knocked out of their towers and dropped unceremoniously to the streets below, and then gathered up and taken to some big foundry and destroyed. And that happened to thousands and thousands and thousands, I don't know, maybe tens of thousands of bells
I think so.
in Europe.
Yes.
I can
Yeah.
comment on
So
that.
how did I get onto that? I did say it was like a completely different subject. Oh yes, because you were talking about we're so stupid. And it is true. We've been put under a spell, and we have been dumbed down by the false education, and we've been something great has been stolen from us, such as, this is one example, these bells. That's just one example. Nowadays, what the poisons that were being fed through the air and through the water, and deliberately, not just as a byproduct of industrial production of goods that we enjoy, but they are purposefully poisoning us. And then, of course, the bioweapons through the vaccination programs that have always been bad, which, when I first started learning about harms of vaccines way back, like, well, I shouldn't say way back, maybe a dozen years ago, I started to look into that. At first, I thought, well, maybe they started out good, and then they just got usurped by, somebody to make them bad. But no, they have been bad right from the get-go. They have been a form of poisoning us. I mean, the whole allopathic medical system is bad. The only part that's really good in the medical system is when they deal with mechanical issues. They can put us back together again very well if we've been in an accident, or organs. I mean, I know that they can do amazing things with heart issues and whatnot. But when it comes to disease and that kind of thing, the whole system is evil. Actually, the allopathic medical system, it's very bad. So, and they destroyed all the other systems of healing, whether it was homeopathy or naturopathy or, and then they suppressed Dr. Reiki Hammer with his Germanische Heilkunde. That is, they destroyed him but it was just all very, very, very scientifically proven. He proved, that cancer is not that which we are taught that it is. And he was very successful with his patients and healing them using other way of thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
So we've been harmed, and yes, we've been dumbed down, so we can be very critical of our fellow men and women who have not yet opened their eyes and not yet seen the light. But I was there just a few short years ago. I was in the same boat. I have a great understanding and a great empathy for our people who have not yet opened their eyes. And I am always obsessed with how can we help these people to open their eyes, because obviously we need more people to open their eyes, and then we can really declare the throne of England must be declared vacant, and all our government representatives are, in a system that is completely illegitimate. I mean, imagine if we were all our people, or most of them, a really grand tipping point would need to be larger, where we knew and understood and just laughed at them when they came with their next mandates, or 5 years ago or whatever. Now, 6 years ago when they came and told us to wear masks, if everybody had just laughed at them and not turned into little, policing each other, because that's what happened. They turned us all into communists because all the people had to police each other.
Yeah,
anyway,
we all became part of the Stasi, a lot of people.
Yeah.
And there's a certain personality type amongst us that loves that. It's the sort of traffic warden mentality. People who have never had any power, so they go, ooh, I'm boss of all these people and I can intimidate them. They might not think of that consciously, but they get a kick out of it. There's no two ways about it. They do.
GV and Paul is trying to talk, I guess, because he says, can you guys hear me? I guess he's been trying to talk.
Yeah, he tried to.
Chat.
Yeah, Paul, he was a few minutes ago, but you were on a roll, Monica, and it was good. It was a good roll, by the way. Yeah, not a bread roll. It was a good roll. Paul, yeah, you wanted to say something. Sorry.
Well, yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you great.
Hear him.
Okay, good.
Oh, I can't.
All right. Okay.
Can't you hear him, Monica?
No, he's not coming through
can't
at all. Not for me. So I don't know. You must be hearing him on a different platform.
No, he's in the studio.
Weird.
That's really weird. This happened to someone the other day.
Weird.
How? That is super
Kick
weird.
me out and bring me back
I
in.
can hear you, and I could hear Eric a moment ago when he said spot on, but I cannot.
Can you hear him, Eric?
Yes, I can hear him, yeah. Loud and clear.
Okay.
Kick me out and then bring me back in.
I'll
Kick me
do
out and
that.
bring me back in.
I've always wanted to kick someone out. I mean, I just have. This is the beginning of me becoming an
don't hang
audio
up on
bouncer.
me.
I'm going to become an audio bouncer, so I'm just going to... I'm going to kick you from the studio. Get ready to be kicked, Paul. 3, 2, 1, bang!
Oh, right.
He's gone.
Yeah, we got rid of him. He was just a troublemaker. No, he'll come back. He'll be back in a second. Can you hear me? Everybody still hear one another that's here?
Yeah.
Cool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you right at the beginning if I was too loud or too soft, because I could adjust,
No, I've turned you up a little bit. Don't worry, I've audio mixed it here. I think you're great. Everything sounds crystal clear to me. You sound really good. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, where were we? Paul's about to come back with a question, so we're sat here with bated breath. Here we go. He's back. Hello
Hi there. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Honestly, that is so weird. What they have done is it is basically destruction of a cross between the moral fabric of society, or societies in general, and also the destruction of the family unit. Like the whole thing with conversion therapy used to have been sanctioned by the church and everything, and conversion therapy was what they did to homosexuals, trying to fix them with respect to God and the way things were supposed to be. But then they've also been tearing at the moral fabric of the family and society in general, because during COVID, when everybody was locked down and only essential workers were allowed to leave their houses, there was an absolute explosion of incest porn. And I believe it was by design to destroy the moral fabric and the moral conscience of people in general. And one of the ways they did that was locking up mothers with fathers, brothers with sisters, and families in general, knowing that eventually nature would take its course. And it took them months to accomplish that, and I think they did. These are absolutely horrible people.
Well, if they are people, but they are, yeah.
Sorry,
Good point.
Just for one moment, my brain went on a different track. And where did this happen? Where they locked up the mothers with daughters and the fathers with the sons? When and where was that going on?
It was the whole lockdown in America during the COVID thing.
Yes.
The whole COVID lockdown thing.
The whole COVID lockdown thing. Sorry, I thought you were talking about some past event. This is just recent.
I firmly believe that was to hack away at the moral fabric of people in general.
Yes, I agree with you. I think you're right.
Oh, despicable.
It's every single thing. Every single aspect of life, everything is weaponized. The food supply system, the media, the government, the banking, everything. Everything that you look to in a supposedly well-organized society, which it used to be, has gone. I think, the thing about the bells, of course, I think it touches on something else that if and we talk about buildings here, but it's in the same sort of channel. The absence of beauty, the growing absence of beauty in all things, the design of things and stuff, the only thing that they spend time designing now is the latest smartphone, which looks like every other thing. But actual stuff, there is no value added because there aren't any. They've created a system that has removed the artisan from our world. The artisans are few and far between, aren't they? And because no one can make a living doing that sort of stuff unless you've got a rich patron. And maybe it was always like that to some degree. But you look back at the things, those sorts of stories that you're attracted to. I mean, the idea of the prince and the princess and the knights and all this stuff and castles. I know I'm being silly, but they've got a beauty to them. There's something about the scenes and the settings. It's real. It's truthful. It feels honourable and direct. Everything now, courtesy of this veil that has been thrown over us, courtesy of the mainstream media, amongst many other things, has put everybody in a kind of state of suspended, animation. It's just odd. It is very odd. You've got to fight every day. I think fight's probably the right word, to retain your consciousness and your sanity. And I do think the best way to do it is you continually question everything. I mean, I don't know what your day's like, Monica, Eric and Paul. I suspect it's similar to this. From the moment I wake to the moment I go to sleep, I'm never stopped thinking about all this stuff. I just don't.
Yeah.
It's just nonsense. It's 7 days a week. It's been like this for years, because and you get a bit frustrated going, I haven't seen the key yet. Maybe that's a delusion that there is one simple key. I don't know, but I do think that without us standing, we want to combat these things, but we need to really address our own foundation. I tend to think, because the more we get in touch with and live out of our own genuine foundation of life, which is you need to know who we are as a race, what we've done, what we can do, and to live in that space more than we live in the fear porn world. That's the first one hurdle to overcome, because we're just bombarded with puke 24/7. And I like to listen to other radio guys and gals that are out there in the closer to the mainstream media thing. But I tend to the view, and look, I'm still learning on this kind of front as well, that most of us are using the wrong sentences. We're not actually focused in the right way. There's that clever dick phrase, but it's kind of true. To some degree, we've all ingested the command structure of the enemy. Their language, their terms. We use the words that they keep creating. and because they're able to publish them in such huge, powerful ways into your head 24/7. You know, the whole of the newscasting system, what's the point of it? It's mad. I mean, it's just complete fiction. So
when you say using their words, are you talking about their, for example, they describe cameras as flock cameras, and I think we should call them outdoor prison cameras.
Yeah, well, maybe. But I mean, I'm just thinking about what you read out. You know, that type of language, the way that stuff is written. If you look at the way that court legalese is written, it's crap. I'd fire these people for writing sentences like that. And I mean it. It comes right down to the words. If a teenager of average intelligence cannot comprehend it, it's not that he or she is thick. It's that you, sir, can't write, madam. You can't write. You've got to be read to be understood and comprehended. And they don't write like that. They write intentionally to confuse and then shame you for being a thicko in the class. And you go, it's that. It's got to be reversed.
These things that are written in laws, it's actually got a name for it's another language, and this language is called legalese.
Yes.
Legalese. And then that's a big reason why they say you all have to have a lawyer. I mean, you don't have to have a lawyer when you go to court. If you're charged with whatever, you don't have to have a lawyer. You can go and speak for yourself, speak on your own behalf.
Mm-hmm.
However, they strongly discourage people to do that. They strongly encourage you to have a lawyer. And a lot of it is because of this language, this legalese. However, if you do go and speak on your own behalf, if you have the unfortunate fate of being in front of their court system, that if you are on your own there, the judge has the moral, or not just the moral obligation, but has the obligation to explain the legalese, that to translate, turn it into a language you could understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the mere fact that you need an interpreter, i.e. a lawyer, means that you can't be stood in the face of the law. I mean, they say ignorance or ignorance is no defense. And this is actually true, because ignorance more than implies, what it's stating is you knew about this thing and you chose not to give it any conscious attention. And therefore, because you knew it and didn't do anything, this is the thing about acquiring stuff, you're actually honor bound or duty bound to act on it if it's repugnant to you. That's the whole thing. And of course, I think in the past, our people did used to do that more readily, easily and quickly, often with their fists and axes and things like this, right? That was the times. I'm not calling to go back to that. But by the same token, we've become soft sort of in our willpower, and people have lost it. They don't assert themselves because there's there are penalties for speaking your mind and all this kind of stuff. Why? Well, because we are cattle to be controlled. So, this is the form that it's currently in. I don't think this means there's not a way out. I think there absolutely is. I think the pressure's building up in here considerably with every passing day, but it requires permanent and consistent effort, and to find, like we have here and in the listeners, good companions along the way. Very, very important. Vital, in fact. Vital that you have good companions.
You're right that it can't, the overthrow of this, it cannot be stopped. And I'll just quote my brother some of his excellent little metaphors that he uses. It's like if you might have drank the finest wine in the world, but you overdid it and you had way too much. Well, your body is not going to pay attention to the fact that this was very, very expensive wine. If you needed to get rid of it, you will vomit and it will just come out and you cannot stop it. And that's this is like a volcano about to erupt, that when we do have, we can't go down much further here, and this is going to erupt. And I think that our opponents are very afraid. They are very, very afraid, because they know that when this erupts, boy, oh boy, they are going to be hiding and running. And the other metaphor he says is, it's like trying to stop a hurricane by farting into the wind.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think you're right in some regards, but also if we look at how they have behaved and their acolytes and the helpers that they have from our own race, the ones that have fallen lower than you could possibly go, their capacity for vicious behavior appears to be almost unlimited. I mean,
Yes.
and I'm talking about their control of food, which is a biggie. I heard a farmer on another show this morning. It was on the Mike Graham show, which is this morning radio gig that goes out on YouTube, and it's not mainstream. He used to be mainstream. It's moving more and more in this direction. The farmer came on, and it was quietly, it was very well put, but seriously alarming. A guy from Wales, and he was just talking about the crop yields and all this stuff, and he said people need to get organised. And I'm not trying to sort of fearmonger, but it's just a matter of exercising some responsibility with this. It won't hurt to actually start to build up some kind of a store. Whether that would be enough, I don't know. These things are a bit like facing a tidal wave. It would be, maybe we've said it before, if I informed everybody there's a tidal wave coming in about 5 hours, you go, what do I do? I go, there's nothing. We can't. It's too late. It's over. Right. It's finished. We can't do anything in 5 hours. It doesn't matter even if you could get 50 miles away or 100 miles. Everybody else is going to be trying to do that, and it'll be just mayhem. And sorry, so just sit down, have a pint, write your last letters and put them in a bottle or something. They might get found. I don't know what to say, but I think if you look at their behaviour historically, it's not good toward us. That's putting it mildly. I'm using English understatement as far as I can use it,
Well, more people have been killed by their own governments than all the wars put together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Governments are dangerous, and I question whether we need them. But the trouble is, if you did away with government tomorrow, it would be chaos, and it's actually education of the masses to be self-supporting and self-reliant. That's the thing. Take care of our own lives. We don't need these complete strangers and psychos in government telling you what to do. But I've got a feeling something that we will least expect will happen that will work in our favour. And at the moment, people are too comfortable. They won't do anything whilst they're comfortable. Once the supermarket shelves are empty, then they'll do something, but not until. And the government are aware of that. So you'll be able to get a hold of high carbohydrate junk food and sweet stuff, yes, but you won't be able to get a hold of quality food. And I think that's what they want to do. They don't want you to have meat. Why? Because humans naturally eat meat. We are meat eaters, and if we don't eat meat, we get very angry.
We need to go to Brazil, Eric. They've got 237 million head of cattle. That's where we need to go if you want meat. Yeah. I mean, I can't consider the idea of going somewhere else. I don't know what it's like for you, Monika. I can't. It just doesn't seem. Look, we've all got to go sometime. Everybody dies, but not everybody lives. I would suggest to you that at least we are giving it a good shake of the dice here, doing our best to live honourably.
I like that, what you just said. Everybody dies, but not everybody lives. That's really good. Profound.
Well, mate, it's kind of true, isn't it? This is why you get frustrated with dopey people around you. You sort of like want to shake them up and slap them and go, look, do you know what you're being given? You've got life. Why don't you use it? Right? Why don't you start shouting? Oh, no, this is going to... I can't abide it. I mean, it literally makes my skin crawl and I have to go away because I'm going to throw up. And people. It's only when they start shouting as well. I know we were talking about it last week, and it seems like a joke.
Oh, we will, yeah.
But when you start to make a noise and you get in touch with that stuff, and it's not far away from me all the time, but I like to talk normally, but it's not far off, right? You find out you've got colossal access to energy. It's off the charts. There are huge forces going on in people, but they're scared of them. They're almost like scared of them. Oh, I can't behave like that. You can and you need to, but people won't approve. Forget them. You might inspire another couple of lunatics to stand up and go, enough. And this is where we're at. We're at the enough point. We're just looking for methodologies where I guess all of us, including myself, don't want to get killed in the process. This is true. This is absolutely true. Unfortunately, if you look at history, many good people did. And because you hit a point, you go, this is not life. I'm not living. It doesn't matter now if I die. I'm just going to fight you. Yeah, you're going to lose. Yeah. I don't care. I'm still fighting you. I don't care about that.
Go down. You don't want to go down on your knees. You want to go down fighting.
Yeah.
And then, I want to just bring it back to something you said earlier about beauty in objects around us and in our, I think of it as functional art when people build things or make things that are not just of a a utilitarian nature, but also they are a work of art. Like if you build a piece of furniture, a chair or a table, and it's got beautifully carved legs and ornaments, or just on your fence outside, it's a beautiful ornamental object of beauty as well as functional.
Mm-hmm.
And it used to be so common that buildings were like that. And sorry to veer the subject, but just want to bring it back to that, because in our everyday lives, yes, we can do whatever we can, and everybody's going to have different things that they can do. Everybody has different talents, and we can, scream and shout. We can try to wake people up. We can do things. But also every day we should be consciously having activities in our lives that are joyful, that we are living with joy, that maybe does consist of, that you're building something and it has beauty in it, not just utilitarian, this kind of thing, or that you play music or you walk in the woods and just doing something that is enjoyable and beautiful.
Yes.
Hopefully you share laughter with people. But at the same time, daily, everybody can do something in this war that we are in. And at some point, we are just it's gonna be enough. Like you said this earlier, enough. It's enough.
Yeah.
It's time.
What's that phrase, Eric? Had enough yet?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Had enough
We
yet?
need a one.
That was a
shouting
fast
session.
hour, Monica. Wasn't that fast?
Oh my goodness!
Can
Is
you hear
it
the
done
music?
already?
It's done already. We're on a roll
Oh my
here.
goodness!
I know it's
We are.
it's unbelievable.
It was most enjoyable.
It always is with you, Monica. I love it.
thanks.
Did you know I didn't even send you? Did you see I didn't even send you a message? I was that confident you were going to rock up today. How about that?
I'm glad you confirmed that, because then I was worried that maybe my system of communication doesn't work.
No, we're getting on telepathic levels now. I thought Monica's going to be there because she's just solid as a rock, and it's just fantastic. Monica, it's been lovely having you back again. It really is. And now that you're here, it seems a long time since the last one. But when I thought about you coming on this week, I thought, wasn't she just here last week? But it wasn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway.
Monika Schaefer for Queen Mum. Monika Schaefer for Queen Mum.
Absolutely. Anyway, everyone, we'll be back. I got 20 seconds there, so just right. We're going to be back next week, of course, usual time, and Monica will be back here next month. Thanks very much for being with us this evening, and thanks also to Mike Burke, who made the first 2 hours brilliant. We'll see you next week, everybody. Bye for now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.